one of us has a Cuomo, one of us has a Zohran background.
I'm not sure how to do that. Hang on, I think we're actually live now. Let's see. Okay. All right. If you're watching live, this is Zohran v. Cuomo, New York City mayor election live on the Drew Pavlis Show, episode 68. I'm joined by my friend Bill Davis, an American correspondent for the Drew Pavlis Media Network. And wow, we're going to be watching this live. Apparently, Zohran's won it. I don't know what's happening. Crazy news right now. Crazy news. Bill, can you give us a rundown of what's just happened?
Cuomo was ahead by 20% in the span of 1 minute. Zohran has flipped Cuomo and is now leading 70% to 29% for Andrew Cuomo on Polymarket. This is crazy. Just flipped him in the span of 1 minute.
It looks like so what's behind that shift? What's behind that shift?
That's the votes calculated so far. I think that because of the ranked choice voting system, if people go for Brad Lander, if he gets a lot of support, that's going to help Zohran a lot.
Yes.
Lander has had more support than people thought so far. But this is wild. People thought Cuomo was going to have it in the bag, and you got to give it. It's an impressive campaign.
I think you put it best. It's the NIMBY absentee landlord sex pest Jeffrey Epstein versus the rich kid Zanu PF race war communism. It's not a good choice for people. It's ISIS v Al Qaeda, I believe. You know that point at the end of World War II where the Wehrmacht fought with the SS at like a castle in like the Southern Alps.
I sadly don't know that one.
So I think that's potentially what we're seeing here. Tell us your thoughts. Bill.
I mean, Cuomo just assumed he was going to pull into town in his Dodge Charger and be the mayor of New York City. He ran almost what seems to be no campaign whatsoever. Yeah. And then you got to hand it to the DSA and Mamdani. They took advantage of the moment. They saw the door was open. They ran an amazing campaign, and this could go either way. It looks like Mamdani could get this nomination here. We'll have to see.
I have to say, I actually, if he was not a communist, you would have to say he's done a very good job. Like, I mean, if he was not a communist, I would think he's a great guy. He's got a great smile. He is a great campaigner. He's clearly a naturally gifted campaigner. It's just a shame that he's a communist. I think that's how I would see things. But wow, Cuomo has literally run the worst campaign in history.
It's fascinating. Yeah, it's like they didn't show up. He didn't even bother to take any interest in things like maybe YIMBYism or abundance, which is having a moment with more like centrist liberals, where he could have gotten the edge over Mamdani. Maybe he just kind of showed up with no vision whatsoever. Literally doesn't live in New York since the 90s. He hasn't even lived there, and I just kind of assumed he was walking into being mayor when he was a disgraced governor in the past. So kind of a shame from the Democrats for not bringing a good centrist to the table to really run.
Yeah, but, absolutely. Yeah. I agree with Hexaroot here. Mamdani ran a great campaign strategy with the internet and walking around the city meeting people. If he was a moderate, he would easily win. Yeah, if he wasn't an insane communist who did all this crazy shit like, justifying globalized intifada, he would be smashing it. He would be winning 90-10. This is the worst campaign. Cuomo has run literally the worst campaign, I think, in fucking history. I'm actually shocked by how bad it is.
They're both really horrible. They're both bad candidates, in my opinion. I think Zohran, like you said, a great young man, and I'm interested to see him grow in politics. He's going to be in the public eye after this, no matter what happens.
Yeah,
but just like with Cuomo, they are both kind of have that nepo baby thing tagged onto them, and it does seem justified.
His family are very wealthy. His family is very wealthy.
You drive over the Mario Cuomo Bridge into New York. So the Cuomo family, like a New York dynasty compared to Zohran. Mother's a very successful filmmaker and stuff like that. But
that's crazy.
Zohran, it just bothers me that he's 33. He went almost his entire 20s without working. And he is going to be the working class hero for the economic capital of the world. I just find it to be so kind of ridiculous. You have to be a bit of a narcissist to think you're the one at 33 years old to do this. But
I have to say, Bill, I'm not sure how much I can criticize him for not working in his 20s. But we're doing a good job here at the Drew Pavlis Show. But look, it's shocking how bad Cuomo's campaign was. I mean, when you point out that fact that you literally drive over the Cuomo Bridge when you go into New York City, I mean, that's like $1 billion in free advertising for Cuomo, and he still fucked it up. It's amazing.
He is a dynasty name. Yeah, he has not capitalized on this at all. Mamdani has really used TikTok and Instagram to his advantage and just kind of shocked people with what he's been able to pull off. We should get some more people chiming in here.
I agree, absolutely. Yeah. I'm happy to have almost anybody, especially people from New York, joining us. It would be great.
I hate this comment, like, why do you care about the race? I mean, we're allowed to care about certain things. Like, it's a massive leadership role, the biggest city in the United States.
I think
care about the U.S. presidential election and Australia, like Drew.
Well, I think he's more addressing this. I think he's addressing this more to me because I'm Australian. And look, my brother lives in New York City. You know, my brother is literally a New York City resident. That's one strike in my column. The other thing is, I think this is the future of Western civilization. It's going to tell us a lot about, political trends in Western countries in the next 10 years. He's running a very socialist campaign, and so it'll be very interesting to discover what this means for socialism in Western countries across the world. That's how I see it.
That's well put, Drew. I'm nervous seeing how many people are going to look at Zohran's campaign that are not maybe doing well in the entertainment business and look at politics as that new lane. I like somebody said, you can't win a campaign just with good TikTok videos. I hate to say it. I actually think that's going to be untrue in the future. And I think it will come down to a social media following.
I think you're so right.
Videos.
I think you're actually so right with that. It's really a new profession for theater kids. If you're a theater kid, it's a great time to get into politics.
Oh yeah.
I'm just posting the link to people on my Twitter one more time.
Yeah, we should just open forum. Everyone jump in, give us your opinion on this.
Yes.
People in New York especially.
Dude, you know who I would love to have on right now? I'd love to have Sharks there, but unfortunately he's turned against me. And this is really sad for me. What do you think, Bill? What can be done to mend that relationship? It's really sad.
I think you guys will get over this. You two are both some of my favorite people online, and I think you guys will get over this.
I hope we can get over it because he's a funny bloke. He's a funny bloke, and
he is.
And
he does a good job representing Islam. He really does a good job representing Islam and showing the beauty of Persian culture.
Absolutely. I think if you compare him to like almost any other Muslim influencer, he's just far and away so much better.
Shark, if you're out there, come make amends with Drew. Let's hear your take on NYC
I'd love to have him on.
You're both great lads. Jump in, Shark, if you forgive Drew.
I hope so. We've got a comment. Drew, 1 to 10, how much of a theater kid do you consider yourself? My mum actually did send me to speech and drama classes when I was a kid, but I wasn't really ever a theater kid as such. I wasn't really as such a theater kid. Shagzadeh is pro North Korea. I think that's shit posting. I think that is shit posting, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. What do you think? Tell us about the supermarket policy. What do you think, Bill?
Let's listen in.
I think he would. Oh yeah, we got a result.
No. Okay, this is good. Yeah, you go on. Let's keep going.
Oh, the poly market is just going crazy here. We got Zohran at 83% versus Cuomo at 16% now.
Let's get that up.
He's running with the betting odds now.
Wow,
this has flipped within 1 hour. Cuomo seemingly had it by 10%. Wow. Now it's 84-16 for Zohran. This is wild.
Wow. But what's that based off? What is telling us that that he's in such a better position?
Just the tabulation so far, I guess, are leaning towards a favorable outcome for Mamdani, I'm guessing. But the people are putting their money on it, so that's why these betting markets maybe they can be good to look at for this. But who knows the outcome still? But
it's very funny. I honestly, genuinely think I thought he would start. I think it was about last week when I decided, okay, I think this guy's going to win. And I think it's just because like he just got so much momentum on social media.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as somebody who doesn't like him. Like he just started killing it on social media.
He's phenomenal. You and I both aren't big fans, obviously, but like he used it to his advantage. Cuomo didn't show up. There's just so many things piling on that in a normal election, a person like Zohran would probably not have a chance, but the door is just open for him here.
It's just literally the worst possible candidate in history, Cuomo, mixed with the shittest campaign in history versus like a smart insurgent candidate who's running the best campaign fucking seen in 10 years. Yeah. It's just like, let's just put aside all the policy. Let's just forget that he's a communist for a second. Like, if you didn't know anything about Zohran's policies and you just looked at the campaigning, like you would, exactly. You'd think it's 99% Zohran winning it.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a comment here on predict it. I just dumped all my communist no 300 loss. I don't know what the guy means by that, but I hope Shagzadeh. I wish Shagzadeh would come on. I hope he will. What time is it over there, Bill?
We're at 9:25 Eastern.
9:25 Eastern. So the polls, and why did the polls close so late at 9 o'clock at night?
I don't know. They just got to count all the votes. It's super hot out today. It's like 100 degrees in New York, which again, people think gives favor to Mamdani. The older voters can't show up for Cuomo as much.
Wow.
Maybe we'll see.
I'm just doing a quick Fahrenheit to Celsius translation for myself. 37 degrees Celsius. That's fucked.
It's it's the hottest day we've had this year. It's crazy.
Wow. Other than his Israel-Palestine views, are Zohran's actual economic policies good enough? Like, I think the economic policies are actually, it's less for me, it's less about like Israel-Palestine. It's more about his economic policies. Like, I think they're pretty shit. A rent freeze is like the absolute opposite of the abundance policy.
Yeah, it showed when they did the rent freeze in New York with Bill de Blasio, which has been done before, that the market rate rents went up for everyone else. So it's like, it creates a system where you're lucky if you get in on it and everybody else is kind of screwed. So
Zohran is at 90% on poly market. This is fucking crazy. Wow. I'm gonna make a post on that. Hang on.
It's funny. It's hilarious. Mayor Eric Adams is banking on a Zohran Mamdani win. He wants Zohran to win because Mayor Adams thinks he can beat Mamdani as an independent rather than Cuomo.
I have to say, Eric Adams is a funny cunt. Like, he's a funny as hell bloke. Yeah. It's a shame that he did all the corruption because he's a really funny bloke and really charismatic.
And apparently he's been an okay mayor on some things in New York City as well, with finally getting trash bins put on the street where they've been piling their garbage in bags for years. So people seem to be all right with him.
Zohran's at 92%. Holy fuck.
8% Cuomo. This is wild. Wow.
Dude, how accurate is Polymarket?
It was accurate in the U.S. presidential election, like in the final hours. Elon tweeted out like kapow when Trump finally took it. And then game set match when he won. Like, I don't know. People are putting their money on it, so I would say it's somewhat accurate. This is crazy. 93% now. Mamdani.
93%.
Wow.
93%. That is
New York. It's a very, very young city, and a lot of college-educated people, which are really Zohran's base, tend to be wealthier, even though they would really hate to admit that, but it's just true.
It is. It's really funny because like the core of the Zohran voting base is like rich white people.
Yeah,
like that's literally the core of his base, which is like extraordinary because he runs it's a pretty sectarian campaign he's run.
If you ever look at the party that he would run on if he lost tonight, which is Working Families Party, they're called the Working Families Party. But if you meet them in person, they're like anything but you would picture a working family would look like.
What's the go with like the smaller parties in New York City and New York? It's kind of funny.
Well, I don't know too much about the party system with working families, but they do have the ranked choice voting, which is playing in heavily in Zohran's favor tonight.
94%. That's fucking crazy. I'm just trying to think. Maybe I'll go to Twitter and see what people are saying on Twitter.
Can we make it an open forum? People jump in if they want. I would love to hear Armand Armand Domaluski wants to jump in. He's been great on this.
Okay, great idea. Okay, open.
Let's get some people's thoughts on here. This is getting wild.
Okay, open invitation to figures such as Armand. Who else should I say? Oh, fucking hell. Armand.
Ahmed's got a very he's definitely leaning more Zohran, I think, than Cuomo, of course.
Who are some other American people who we can potentially have? Tracing Woodgrain. Yeah. Good on you. I'll have Tracing Woodgrains.
Yeah.
To join me live for the Zohran v. Cuomo results. Zohran is at 94% on Poly Market. That's a crazy figure.
It is wild.
Okay, I hope that some of them may join me. I hope that Shahzadeh may see it within his heart to forgive a young shitposter who is pro-Persia but not pro-Iran regime.
Yes.
Wow, this is just nuts. So we're literally at 92%. Has it gone up even further? I'm just trying to figure out what that is actually based off. Zohran is now at 95%. My God. This is
taking it. 1 hour ago, it was 65% Cuomo. And now, now Cuomo's under 10%. What a flip.
Wow. Actually, you know who else I could have joined? Maya Luna and Mikita.
Yeah, mine would be great.
Go Maya.
We should just let everyone come and give their take on this. This is a crazy election. Yeah.
Join my live stream for Zohran results. Okay. I'm gonna message him. Did Sneeko endorse Zohran? Fucking hell.
Sneeko endorsed. He got the streamer vote in the last minute. He did not retweet that one though. Zohran was not proud of his Sneeko endorsement.
Yeah, because Sneeko is a bit of a fucking
Andrew Tate style guy. Yeah. But he's pro-Islam, so that was probably the crossover there.
Yeah, literally just that. And he hates
Israel. I can't imagine what else. Because he's like a total like red pill guy in every other way. But
yeah, he's like literally an Andrew Tate guy.
Yeah.
Zohran
got Emily Ratajkowski as well.
I know, that was fucking crazy. Like, who's this? Interesting. Emily Ratajkowski. Ratajkowski.
She's really speaking to the laborers in the city.
Fucking hell. They dominated. When they get Emily Ratajkowski, it's over.
It's election day today. You need to get to the polls. They're open till 9 p.m. What else do they need to know?
Go to zohranfornyc.com/vote. You can find out where your poll site is and text your friends and family because we need everybody to come out. And make sure you're drinking water because it's a very hot day.
This election is going to be decided by young voters. The average New Yorker is 38 years old. The last mayoral race was decided by 7,000 voters. That means that your vote really matters. Go ahead, get out there. We know it's hot, but the time is now.
Let's do it.
It is Emily Ratajkowski and
Zohran Mamdani.
It's election day today. You need to get to the polls. They're open till 9.
It's really just the most politically genius campaign ever. Even to have hot girls for Zohran is just like politically genius. I think you may have seen my post where I regretted the fact that I found his wife attractive, and it was because of my Levantine ancestry. And I couldn't. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. I'm just sending out the live stream link to a couple people. I'm going to send it to Shahzadeh, even though he's against me. I'm going to send it around. Let's see. Okay. I'm sending it to Rotimi. I'm going to send it to. Okay, I'm sending it to Maya Luna.
Zohran just has everything going for him in terms of like darling to the left. I know this sounds weird, but if Zohran's name was like John Smith, his base would hate him.
I agree.
He has it all going for him.
They love the fact that he became a citizen like 5 years ago, which is kind of crazy to be honest, right?
He's a total rich kid that like never had to work. He rapped and worked on one of his mom's movies, was like his work career for a decade until politics. And then
that's crazy.
It's kind of like Chet Hanks, but he's extremely left. So I don't know. They kind of really embrace him. He checks all the boxes, and he is very personable.
He is extremely charismatic, unfortunately, because you see him and he's always got a smile.
Got a great smile.
Fuck, somebody's saying put money on Cuomo because you're going to get some big returns. I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
97 Zohran. You got to, wow, you're playing with fire if you bet on Cuomo at this point. That any money you put on Cuomo, you're gonna be willing to lose 100%. Same goes for all gambling, but that's crazy.
Should I put $50 on just as a fucking try it out? I don't know.
I think it's $50 gone. I think the guy ran no campaign.
Yeah, I know.
Disgrace.
I had a comment though from a really smart guy, Rotimi, the guy who wrote MAGA Maoism and he got it into the Washington Post, and he told me that based on reports on the ground, he thinks Cuomo's going to win. I don't know what it's based on. I sent him the elections, the link to join us. I hope maybe he can join us.
I just don't think he has it. I think those like sort of centrist votes that reject Mamdani are going to choose Lander or Zellner Myrie.
Yeah,
and there's just been a huge don't rank Cuomo movement where I just don't see how he's got it. Almost nobody publicly wants to say they support Cuomo in New York City.
He just really is the shittest campaign of all time. I just can't believe how shit this guy is. I'm just okay. I've sent the link to Tracing Woodgrains, Maya Luna, Rotimi Adeyu. Rotimi's the one who said Zohran is going to lose tonight. I was talking to some old campaign buddies in New York City. Energy's not there in the working class communities. I don't know, man. If Polymarket's 97%, that's a big risk to say that.
Energy for Zohran is like everywhere in New York. I was there 2 weeks ago.
There's a lot of energy.
In Brooklyn, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing a Zohran poster. Like he's got the Bushwick vote on lock, that's for sure. But
it's a lot of energy.
Been very impressive.
I'm going to ask my brother if he wants to join. Like he's literally in New York City right now. I don't know if he'll do it, but
is there a way we can just make this open for anyone to pop in here? Or?
I mean, I could literally just post the link to the StreamYard and just anybody can literally join. But I think.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, should we put back up the news station, see what they have coming in?
Yeah, let's put up the news station. Yeah, let's
see. Let's put that live.
Okay.
Wonder what they have to say about the poly market flip right now.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, Zohran. Live breaking points, maybe? Okay, we'll put breaking points on.
Oh, give money to Crystal and Sagar. Okay.
Good thing for
I mean, we'll put it on for 5 minutes.
Every other candidate collapsed except for Brad Lander, and I expected Brad Lander.
I've got a comment here by Charles. I love you, Drew, my favorite person on social media. Thank you, mate. Please consider.
Beautiful.
Please consider subscribing, perhaps. Please subscribe. We'll really appreciate it.
All the other candidates have collapsed.
Charles, I'm a subscriber. I recommend it. Subscribe to Drew.
Thank you. Subscribe as well, guys. I'd appreciate it a lot.
You would think he'd be in the 40s with all that collapsing.
I think everyone expected him. No one would have expected that 750,000 ballots would be in and Mamdani would be up 8. Yeah, this is kind of. I mean, I thought Zohran would win narrowly, and that was kind of going against the polling grain.
Okay, I'm sending it to Sharks today.
Maybe
a watershed moment, but perhaps.
All right.
Yeah.
Michael, tell people again where to find. Oh, we just got one more dump, just up to 71% of votes in it.
Oh, Maya Luna will join. Okay, that's excellent. That's going to be good. That's good. Nice. Thank you, Charles. Thank you for subscribing.
Support your Substack, Michael.
My Twitter's Michael Lang, LANGE NYC, and it's just if you type my name into Google.
Let's see Polymarket. What is Polymarket at right now?
Thank you, folks, for being on. I hope maybe when there's more clarity, I can.
Oh yeah, we'll be here for a while.
We're at 97%. Cuomo's got 2%.
Thank you.
2%. Fuck.
I remember getting my book signed.
It's almost like
1 week before COVID.
I don't know. It's so the odds are so long that I almost feel like I should just put $50 on Andrew Cuomo.
But I mean,
it'd be an amazing return if it came through, but I don't see it.
I don't know.
The guy didn't show up.
Did you get COVID at that show?
I'm gonna base it off what Rotimi told me. I think that guy's a smart guy. I'm gonna base it.
Let's get on breaking points.
Breaking points? Yeah, let's put on breaking points.
Oh no, let's put them off. Yeah, let's put them off.
Wow.
Yeah. They're annoying. Yeah, they're annoying.
I don't want to listen to her talk about like neocons or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. What else should we put on?
This is like the standard New York City like live election results coming in. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Fox. Let's just put on Fox.
They do. Local news stations do a good job.
Okay, I'm literally gonna just put 50 on Cuomo. Why not?
I think people saying this is like end of the world for NYC. I do think that's way too dramatic. The people saying that.
Yeah, it's not gonna
Chicago has Brandon Johnson. It's not great, but the world goes on. I mean.
Yeah.
Eric Adams is not considered the most intelligent person in the world, and in New York is doing okay. So I think
that's true.
He'll make it.
Okay, I don't like Hassan, but maybe let's see what he's saying. I hate Hassan. But let's just see what he's saying. I hate him obviously, but let's see.
I can't do it.
He's got nothing. What?
Let's put on
For
5
the
minutes.
Trump administration and the hatred and the division that it spews. We are showing people that hope.
The
is
mood
not
is shifting
something
inside
that
of
is
Andrew
naive.
Cuomo's campus. Early ballots continue to come in for
is, in
socialist
fact,
hopefuls Zohran
righteous.
Mamdani. Sources tell the
When it is
Post they are
built
unsure
upon a
Cuomo
plan and a
can
vision.
make the gap with about a quarter of the
We are
vote left
showing
uncounted.
New York City that a better day is possible. And
Wow.
today is the first of many.
Do we think crime will triple and mainly double?
It's from 638. What are you talking
Mamdani is
about?
endorsed by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the Working Families Party. He is expected to show up here a little bit later in the night.
Mamdani,
It's possibly
98%.
here, but we will bring that to you
95%.
as soon as he arrives. We're live for now in Long Island City, Queens.
White
Allie
guys,
Bowers, CBS
rise
News.
up, dude. Look
Wow,
at this.
Staten Island.
What is? I thought,
to sort of
dude,
cross
Staten
endorse each
Island?
other. That is the case at our next headquarters. Let's go out.
Staten Island. What is happening? 38% for Zohran Mamdani at Staten Island. He's trailing behind by fucking 2,000 points in Staten Island. What is going on? I don't understand. What is this? What does this mean? Is Staten Island Hamas?
Oh, that's so funny. Fuck off, Hassan. Such a fucking annoying cunt.
I thought like Brooklyn is definitely Hamas. You know what I mean? But Staten Island, maybe like, you know, Islamic
Fuck
Jihad,
is an annoying person.
Palestinian Islamic Jihad Island, maybe. It's weird.
He's actually torture.
They're not Democrats, but dude, they're voting for a fucking brown Muslim socialist. He is the least likely. He is the least likely candidate to come out of. Like I didn't think that would happen.
Let's check in now with our Dan Rivoli. He's standing by at the.
Someone say stop the sign. It's like CIA torture. This is fair. This is fair. Let's keep it on for a couple more minutes, just as torture. Just as torture for the viewers.
Good news for them as well. Good evening, Dan.
I'm trying to put $30 on Cuomo right now. Just the returns would be so massive.
It's gone, Drew.
The return would be like $1,300 though. So
Staten Island right now.
Do we put the local news on over Hassan just to?
yeah. Okay. Let's put on the note.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, he's such.
Hassan's about to do ads for 5% off all Zohran merch on his web shop. So I want to hear it.
So true.
I mean, Hassan is a similar person to me to Zohran. I do think Zohran is a nicer guy overall than Hassan.
They
they're
are.
just
Well,
both
they
from
campaign together.
absolute elite families that
I know,
really do not
elite
like the
families.
West. Somehow still get victimhood points at the end of the day. Like,
and they
it's
hate
crazy.
us, and they wish we were dead. They wish we were dead, Bill. At the end of the day,
I think Zohran and I would get on well. He doesn't own a car. He's pro cycling. That's the one thing I'm just so excited for actually with Mamdani, even though I would not vote for him. Maybe I would if I lived in New York. I don't know, but he doesn't own a car. I think that is pretty impressive as a guy running for NYC mayor. He actually is a real New Yorker. He takes transit. He doesn't own a car. Cuomo lives in the burbs, literally pulled into town in a Dodge Charger. I mean,
yeah,
he kind of deserves it.
I think Easy Money's correct that I actually probably would get along with Zohran, which is really frustrating to admit that.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to admit that. It's annoying. He does seem to be a funny guy. It just we probably wouldn't agree on anything when it comes to gay race communism, but apart from that, we'd probably agree on a lot of things. I like the term gay race communism. It's a really good just apt descriptor, I think.
I was cracking up at that earlier. You said ZANU PF, gay race communism. Is that referring to?
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I don't know about this political party in Zimbabwe. I Googled it after you read it. That's hilarious.
It is literally. I mean, it's literally just like the Robert Mugabe politics.
What do you hope for him in his political career in the future going forward? Whatever Bradlander wants to do, I will be right there.
99% Zohran Mamdani. 1% Cuomo.
Zohran Mugabe.
He has taken it.
Oh my God! It's just wow. He's literally in the. He's fucking smashing it.
Does anybody in there still think Cuomo has a chance? Somebody was telling you to put money on Cuomo and you'll make big bucks later. Does anyone actually still believe that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Hey, it seems pretty fucking over to me.
I've never done one of these before. Can people chime in, Drew, or like comment? Or I have no idea what's going on.
I mean, I could literally just post the StreamYard link and just like literally anyone can join, and it would be up to us to decide whether we want to put them on.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We should get people's takes.
Yeah.
Let's let the people in. I'm a
literally
nobody online. Let's let anybody come in here.
All right. Listen, let me just literally put the StreamYard link up. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that is still holding, or do you think the vote is
Okay, I'm going to post this, guys. You can join by going to this link.
Had indicated was his core base of Brownstone, Brooklyn, Upper West Side, and places like that.
I haven't
had a chance to really see an update of numbers or see where things are, so I can't really speak to that. I'll just say that anyone who wants.
Somebody says the Jewish and Italian neighborhoods are counted last. I don't know if that can turn this around. This is like cool. Looks like he's getting skunked.
We're asking for the Mossad vote to come in, please. Please, Mossad. It's I'll get cancelled for that. People are gonna go, oh, Drew's doing reverse anti-Semitism, blah blah.
There is going to be a massive movement though to beat Mamdani in the general election. Now in
that's
November.
true. It'll be fucking huge.
There's going to be Republicans and centrists, more centrist Dems like coalescing, I think, around somebody to try and beat Mamdani in the general.
Surely, yeah.
He'll probably win it. He's got, if he has the Dem nomination, he is likely to win here.
It is.
But this November, Adams is still probably somehow going to be in this. But wait, who is this? One of Cuomo's people right now? Or
Tracing Woodgrains is here. Tracing Woodgrains.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man, I've been wanting to have you on the show for a long time. Sorry it's taken so long.
Oh, all good. No, it's a pleasure to come on.
Yeah, thanks for joining. You should share the link to your followers so that we can get more people watching. It'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. I'll
share the YouTube link, and I think Maya Luna will join us soon as well.
Perfect.
What do you think? Do you think he's got it?
Energy-wise, like it feels like it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It feels like his moment.
Yeah. It looks like he's got it. It'd be very hard for them to turn around at this point.
Yeah. Which, like, honestly, look, every one of his policies that I've heard, I dislike. I haven't heard like a single one of Zohran's policies where I'm excited about. But like, I look at him and I am just really, really jealous that like the Democratic Socialists have like a young, charismatic guy who gets their message across and everything. Like, I'm like, I want someone like that. Like, I don't want to be stuck here defending frickin' Cuomo. Like,
I know.
nobody
I
wants
actually.
that.
Well said. Well said.
How I see it. I think that's perfectly said. I'm really jealous of the fact that he's so charismatic. He literally walks from the top of Manhattan down to the bottom of Manhattan. Emily Ratajkowski's fucking endorsing him. He's got a hot wife who's Levantine. My Levantine ancestry. It's over. It's fucking over. Us centrists are getting persecuted right now. It's a sad thing.
We're
everyone,
the victims.
We are the victims, exactly.
We are so true.
I think it's literally like 99% on Polymarket. Like, my God.
Is it really? It's that guaranteed.
Holy fuck!
It's wild. Yeah, no. So, like, literally an hour ago, Cuomo was up by 10%, and in the span of 1 minute, it flipped like 70% to Zohran, and now Zohran's 99% to Cuomo's less than 1%.
Oh, right, but just for the first round. Okay. For everything. Okay. No,
literally.
This is who will win the Dem nomination for NYC mayor. This is like, I think the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the first round one, and I was like, well, that's not bad. That's only the first round, and then I looked left of it. And
then it's over. It's just so over at this point.
It's over. It's over. Zohran carries the nomination over for gifted classes. That's it.
This is a good comment by Easy Money. He says, I'm so excited for him to win. He has so much aura, even though he has bad policy. He has the shittest policies ever, but he has aura. I have to admit he has aura. I'm saying this as someone who hates him. He has amazing aura.
Makes it more frustrating, though, is that it's like he gets all the support for just like the laziest policies ever.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. We're getting persecuted. I'm thinking, should I put on Hasanabi for 5 minutes? I know he's annoying as well.
I'm curious. So your name's Tracy?
So my name's Jack. Online, I go by Tracing Woodgrains or Trace. But...
Jack, are you in NYC?
I'm in Philly.
Oh, okay, cool.
Tali,
too,
Tali, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us more about yourself.
Cool. My name is Talibot at TALIBOTZ on Twitter. I've just been doing some debating and cultural commentating on YouTube within like the last month or so. I co-host a show with Wick TV, and you put the StreamYard link out, so I had to jump in.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm following you back now. I just followed you back. Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm just literally putting it out. So, Tali, tell us a bit about where you stand politically.
Well, I'm a former radical leftist. I am a fan of Trace because my heterodox centrist turn started from watching or listening to Blocked and Reported.
Yes. Excellent.
I was just on the Stitch and Adams show today, and I was saying that I voted for Trump in 2024. Okay, I'll lay my cards out on the table.
Okay,
But I'm a winnable voter. I'm a liberal still. You know, I'm a disaffected liberal. So they asked like what kind of liberal would I need to vote for? And I said, not a milquetoast one, not someone who is not, I said Drew Pavlo is the type of liberal that could get me back on team left.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny because I think a lot of people would say at this point that maybe I'm not a liberal anymore. I still think of myself as a liberal.
You are, and I'm a liberal too. It's okay.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
I said, someone who's anti-communist, anti-woke, anti-bullshit, anti-gay race communism, as you would call it.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
That's the type of unashamed liberal that exists and that we need at the top.
I think we need liberals who are not going to play footsies with the DSA and socialism and stuff like that. It's a really bad place to be in when the socialists are getting endorsements by some of the abundance people, which is a shame. Because look, for me, I think especially Bill as well. Bill, my friend, is here. He's a correspondent for the Drew Pavlo show in America. But I think we're sort of abundance liberals in a way. But some of the abundance liberals were kind of playing footsies with Zohran, which I think is really sad.
A lot of them.
Yeah. I don't know why that is.
Well, so I feel like the issue with it. Well,
yeah,
sort of. I think the thing that's going on, right, is that so much of the young energy, young left-leaning energy is in this socialist camp that people are like, can we harness this? Can we capture this? Can we use this for good? They don't want to offend them too much. They don't want to step on their toes too much. They want to always bring their things and these common values with the socialists and everything and look for dream of this unified ground, so forth. Just because they're so enamored by this young educated base that the socialist guys have.
Yeah,
Zohran very mildly endorsed YIMBYism at the end, and I was surprised to see many of the abundance liberals kind of just fall over themselves with that. It sounded almost like a tease, and they took the bait on that with Zohran. He said something like, "Yeah, we do need to build a lot more housing in wealthy neighborhoods." It's kind of where he draws the line,
It was so funny, right? He steps in and he's like, "Oh, we support an abundance agenda of the 99% against the 1%." This guy's a brilliant politician. It's amazing. I'm jealous of it. He's here's this abundance thing. He's like, "Yeah, I can use that. I can use that."
Tossing us in the middle of it too.
Yeah, actually a political genius because to somehow work in. He's literally a guy in favor of rent control, which is the most anti-abundance policy you could ever fucking have. And he somehow captured the abundance sort of mood. It's crazy.
No, because he said the word abundance. I mean, that's how shallow it really is. But it's true. It's true. That makes him a great politician.
Well, Andrew Cuomo showed up with no vision as well here. Andrew Cuomo probably could have ran on the abundance line and got some of the centrist liberal vote, and he just showed up with seemingly no vision. And he pulled into town in a Dodge Charger and was like, "I'm here to be the mayor," and then he got beat. It seems like.
I don't know if he even has a fucking policy. And I know it might be easy to say that because I'm here in Australia, but I've been following the race and I haven't seen a single campaign thing from Cuomo at all.
No, I mean,
crazy.
Well, he's just he really is emblematic of, other than the whole socialism side of things, emblematic of everything wrong with the Democratic Party. It sucks that Zohran is winning. I am not at all sad to see Cuomo lose. He, guy has no policies, no interesting things. He resigned in disgrace. He's coasting on pure name recognition. And honestly, he didn't even try to hammer Mamdani's really weak points. He brought up the things that everyone knows, everyone's talking about. There was Mamdani was campaigning quietly, but it was present in his details. On like he wants to like get rid of all gifted education in elementary and middle schools in New York. Cuomo's team didn't touch that sort of thing at all.
Yeah,
nothing like that. It's just terrible campaign from Cuomo.
Yeah, just the worst I've ever seen. Seriously, the worst I've ever seen. It's so bad.
yeah,
So
but really,
bad.
all Cuomo brought to the table was that Zohran is not pro-Israel, which everyone already knew, and he thought that would be enough to counter him, I guess.
Which is just like I'm talking to someone who's pro-Israel. Like that's retarded. I have to say that's retarded.
I think, and not to be the whiny Jew on the panel, but I think people like Sneeko coming out and endorsing Mamdani, and I think there's I don't know how, I'm not going to say it's a significant number of the vote, but I think there are some people who are literally voting in like in a polarized way, that they want to stick it to the Jews because the Jews are complaining about Mamdani. And so Sneeko's not a fucking socialist. He's not a lefty. He's not, so, but he's out here endorsing Mamdani. I mean,
absolutely.
There's
so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
It's such a big issue for people on the furthest extreme of the right. Like Nick Fuentes might be celebrating this win tonight. Even,
absolutely.
Like,
that's so true.
Just to stick it to Israel type of thing.
Yeah.
And just to stick it to the Jews, basically. That's
stick it to the Jews.
So bad.
Yeah.
That's literally Sneeko's vote. That's literally Sneeko's vote.
Right, to be out there, to be visible.
I'm actually very happy with the panel we've got here. I'm sorry I wasn't following you before, Tali. It's great to have you on, and Tracing Woodgrave as well. This is a great panel, actually. I'm very happy with this.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. But yeah, as far as like the anti-Semitism stuff goes, I mean, again, it's just he's an effective politician. You hear the things he says with it all, and he treads the line carefully. He had his whole slip up, whatever you want to call it, with the Intifada stuff, where he starts explaining all the details about how no, actually Intifada means this and that. Like, never mind what globalized the Intifada means in English. Anyway, but like other than things like that, he treads the line pretty carefully. He understands his faction and understands like the things he can and can't say, shouldn't say, everything. Has that just winning smile with everything he's saying with it, where he's just like, yeah, it'll all be good. Just look at me smile, it'll be good.
I also know a lot of Jews who were well, I'm not gonna say I know them, but I know of a lot of Jews who were anti-Mamdani, who, I'm from New York, by the way. I don't live there now, but who didn't want to vote for Cuomo, so they voted Lander. And that,
which is really a vote for Zohran.
11%. Exactly.
Yeah. There's so many things working in Zohran's favor. Just like it's like a perfect storm for him to win this. But it is weird seeing Zohran run on nothing that got him his assembly seat. Like Drew, I don't know if you can pull up the image, but like the one that made the rounds with Zohran, where he's with his arms crossed, he says, "We believe in socialist feminism." Like he totally ran on a completely different platform to be assemblyman, but didn't bring up any of this stuff because it's not popular now.
It's amazing, right? Because 4 years ago, 5 years ago, he was literally read this. Women, especially trans women, are disproportionately impacted by police violence and the violence of incarceration. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, at that point, what the fuck are you talking about? But and he just,
it looks like a Portlandia type of thing almost.
That is insane. Yeah, with especially it's like a picture of him with feminism in giant words. That is so crazy.
This is like his first job at age 29, as far as we can tell, other than rapping and working on one of his mom's movies. Like,
it's actually amazing. I almost have to hand it to him. Like, it's so goated in a way that like, he literally just stands and just goes feminism. And just like it's so fucking cringy, but he did.
Oh, I'm convinced. I'm persuaded.
Yeah.
Maybe we do believe in socialist feminism.
I want that image blown up on Times Square tonight for the victory. How great would that be for New York City today?
Defunding the police is a feminist issue. Like, it's just like this politics from 5 years ago is so unbelievably unpopular now. But he absolutely pivoted. He's a genius the way he was able to pivot it. And I was watching him on Stephen Colbert the other night. And like, this is, again, I'm someone who's, everyone understands me as like, ultra turbo Zionist or whatever. That's not even how I would describe myself anyway, but that's how people see me. And listen, with Stephen Colbert, the stuff he was talking about this, I mean, when he was asked about Israel and stuff like that, he had a really nice answer, to be honest. It's not, so I don't agree with him. I know it's all fake, but he fucking campaigned in a really good way. He worked out the best possible answer when people ask him, oh, okay, well, you're trying to campaign in a city with 1 million Jews. How do you square that circle with, your globalized intifada comments? And he manages to square the circle very brilliantly. If you just if you just took him at his word, obviously we all know he's lying, but if you took him at his word, he's a great politician. He's a great politician.
Fantastic,
like
yeah.
his commentary was just like, you couldn't put a foot wrong with him where he was like, listen, I think Israel should exist. I just believe in equality. Like, because if you then try and push back on that, how do you even push back against that? That's why some of the, I'm saying this as a turbo ultra Zionist or whatever, some of the whole, we have to vote against Iran because of Israel. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, it's the worst campaign strategy ever in fucking history because it makes, then it gives people like Sneeko, so it's just, wow, it's a disaster. Total disaster.
Yeah, and like if you look at things like, you know, his Bulwark podcast appearance where they start bringing up some of his old things and all that, and he's like, you know, if any of us are judged by our tweets, like we all have old things to be, you know, he just laughs it off, right? He just laughs it off and then goes back to like,
Those were the things that got him elected, though.
Of course.
He said, yeah,
no, of course.
Like, drop them, like. Yeah,
he's not dropping them though. Like he's still signaling to the people because you're right. This shit is unbelievably unpopular to more people now, but there's still a contingent on the left for whom this is the exact messaging they want. Those are actually what their values are, and he's still absolutely signaling to them. Maybe the most.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, he did completely reiterate we are not defunding the police in this campaign, which he would have never said in 2020.
Yeah. So he drops the really high salience ones, like defund the police. That's super high salience. So he's like, okay, I'm walking that back. Like the SHSAT, that whole test, the test for specialized high schools, like he knows that's high salience and unpopular. So he's like, no plans to change that. But then he like sneaks a lot of things in through the side door. So with education, right? He like, instead of saying, oh, we're going to, you know, get rid of these specialized schools, he says, we'll implement recommendations from the 2019 School Diversity Advisory Group. And you look at this advisory group that he's implementing the recommendations from, and all of its recommendations are nuts, like just insane stuff. It's like, we'll get rid of gifted programs at elementary schools. We'll get rid of any selective schools in these places. It's like all of these things that are exactly in line with the high salience stuff, but you can just hide it behind a committee and say, we'll just convene a committee and get people to discuss it and return it to the community. And everyone just kind of nods along. They're like, okay, nothing to see there.
The getting rid of the gifted kids thing I find really disgusting because he went to something like a $60,000 a year like elementary school growing up in New York. He just had so much opportunity as a kid. And to get rid of that, I don't know, when we need more meritocracy, that seems crazy.
Yeah.
Looters welcome at the government-run supermarket.
Meritocracy it is kind of a cuss word on the left. I guess with some exceptions, like some people are going to be brave enough to say like, yes, you should have to meet high standards to become a pilot or a firefighter. But this idea that like some kids are going to achieve higher and and that's not going to match perfectly onto the demographic data of your city is very unpopular on the left. You can't say that still.
That's true. I think it's a really bad look for abundance liberalism that like this guy, just by saying the word abundance, can like kind of latch himself onto the movement while supporting rent controls on everything. Like it's sad.
Yeah. I was taken aback by that. His ad is literally, we're going to freeze the rent, not we're going to build market rate housing. And he won that YIMBY vote, it seems, in the final hour.
This is a good comment. It's not a coincidence that three of America's major left populists, Sanders, AOC, Mamdani, are from New York City. It has a level of hyper-visible salient wealth inequality that's unlike anywhere else. That's true. I went to New York, last time I was there was 5 years ago, and the inequality actually is insane because like you could be walking down Billionaires Row with, you know, all those luxury super tall thin skyscrapers, and there are like homeless people on the ground outside and stuff like that, and like the homelessness problem in New York's really bad.
The homelessness problem in like every big city is bad, but you know, like New York it's true, and income inequality, like these things are true, but also New York's a very aspirational city, and there's a lot of people who are immigrants and coming there, and yes, they're living in what would be considered poverty compared to the billionaires, but they're living better lives than they'd be living in the countries that they came from. They're they're getting to make something of their lives, and they're aspiring to be that billionaire. That's part of the American spirit, really, is believing. Some people would say naively that you're on the cusp of becoming a millionaire yourself too if you work hard enough, and so there's a lot of that aspiration, I think, in New York.
That's true. That's a good way to put it, I think.
Now, one question I do have is, do we think, so obviously the Democratic primary is almost always the actual election for mayor in New York, and that, final election is just a coronation. Will this time be different? Like with Adams trying as an incumbent for re-election, with maybe Cuomo will pop back in, with Silva, all of that, and Mamdani, is it going to be a more interesting general?
That's a great point.
We've got Hanadia. Hanadia's going to join us.
Oh, excellent.
That's awesome. Okay, this is epic. I'm excited. Hang on, I'm going to send
Wow,
this
I was just shouting him out today on Such an Adam too.
It reminds me a lot of AOC when she
Okay, I'm
beat
just
Joe
sending it.
Crowley in that Democratic.
Well, I'm excited to have Hanadia on. This will be good fun.
5 years ago,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Cuomo is governor of
No,
New
you're
York
right,
State, one of the most
Trace.
powerful
Now I'm rooting for Eric Adams, and actually Eric Adams is certainly a real contender. Yeah. If Mamdani is the.
A lot of people don't think Adams is a horrible mayor, surprisingly, even after the scandals.
So it's interesting. I have a friend who's been on the re-elect the mayor kick for a while now. He's been very convinced that Adams is the best candidate available, and at this point, he's persuaded me that so Adams. His corruption scandal sucks,
It's so
and
bad.
it's so dumb, it's so stupid, all of that. But the city is being governed fine overall. He's not the sort of person who excites me. I don't like the corruption, any of that, but it has trash cans now. That's something.
He got the bin. Yeah.
That's a sad thing where literally just openly, brazenly corrupt guy is still potentially a good option to run the city. By the way, guys, we've got 55 live viewers on YouTube and a couple hundred on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, go to my YouTube, and if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like on the stream. Helps us reach more people. Thank you, everybody.
Obviously, we have to count everything. But I've seen
this good comment. If you're against Mamdani's policies, what would you predict the quantifiable economic damage would be? Good question. I don't know. Tracing Woodgrains, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, it's dangerous. I don't focus a lot in on economics, and usually I let other people. I trust the neolibs on their economic takes, basically, right? Yeah. But I think in terms of quantifiable damage, it's tricky. A lot of the things that he's proposing are going to be forestalled by one law or another. The city
and they
grocery
just
store
take
thing,
time anyway.
Yeah. The city grocery store thing, I don't think will be that bad. Actually, he's talking about just a couple of pilot programs, and it'll be a bit of a drain, but it'll be a bit of a drain, but nothing big. The rent control stuff, I mean, depending on how much of that he gets in, it's always going to be distortionary.
From the Andrew Cuomo and his campaign.
It's not something that I feel confident speculating on.
They knew everyone.
I don't think we would really see what the damage would be unless he were to be reelected after that, assuming that he becomes mayor. I again, this is like a vibes-based analysis. I'm no economics expert at all, but things take time. Things move slowly. New York City is a big bureaucratic engine, and so I think a lot of the things that he would want to enact would take a lot of time to happen. So I don't think that there are people who are sort of spitefully saying well, if New York wants this, fine, let them suffer under the socialism of New York City. And I don't think it's going to ever get to that point unless he has some really long tenure.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this idea, give people what they voted for and they'll get it good and hard. I don't think people actually react like that. I don't think that Trump voters right now are looking around and saying, oh no, we elected Trump, how could we? They're saying, yeah, we're getting exactly what we wanted. I think that Mamdani voters, if it fails, it's the rich's fault. He couldn't push back hard enough against the rich. He didn't try it hard enough.
So
he didn't quite unify the 99% enough against the 1% and everything, right? People don't really have these come to Jesus ideological moments where they're I got exactly what I voted for and it sucked. One person does, and then they go on every talk show and they go on all the circuits and everyone's we got one. But by and large, people are just yeah, we got what we wanted.
One more vote than the people.
This is so true. This is so true.
Stage today, and I would still be the luckiest guy.
Now we got Lander speaking.
Okay, let's see. Wow, let's see.
Thank you all for being here tonight. The votes are still being counted, and the ranked choice tabulations will take a few days. But this much is clear.
But no, in terms of the damage and so forth, I really economic, I'm less confident in. The mayor does have a lot of direct control over educational stuff, and I don't see any in fact, New York City has fairly direct mayoral control over the education system, and I don't see anything really good in his plans for the education system. So.
With our help, Zohran Mamdani will be the Democratic nominee.
Wow.
With our help, you know.
Wow.
It does seem a little weird how it's like a tag team effort to get one person elected, like the candidates cross endorsing each other. I don't know how authentic the ranked choice voting feels in that sense.
I like that part, honestly. Like, it's not authentic any more than like the super hatred for each other is authentic. They're politicians playing politician games, but like, I don't mind that part.
But to be running for mayor and be like, I'm endorsing these 4 people for mayor, it is a little strange.
Look, as you said, everything has aligned for Zohran so perfectly. Like, to have Lander there as a vote feeder. So I feel like there's probably a lot of Jewish voters who probably couldn't bring themselves to put like one Mamdani, but like Lander sort of gives them permission to like vote one Lander and then put their vote through to Mamdani. It's just everything's perfect for Zohran here. It's amazing.
One thing that I thought was a pretty interesting observation that I heard from some more left-leaning people around me.
Wait, how does this work? I've never used this before.
Go to sorry. Hang on. I gotta try. Okay, Maya, thank you for joining us. Sorry, Tracing Woodgrains, for cutting you off. We've got another person join, and Hanani's going to join as well. We've got a great election panel. Thank you for joining, Maya.
The election's over.
I know it's already over, but it's still interesting. We're commentating on it. Maya, what are your thoughts? And then Tracing Woodgrains, we'll go back to you. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, violence.
I'm fucking. I mean, like, to be fair, I don't agree with Mamdani on everything. There are a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Like, I think him like calling himself a socialist, just like I'm a socialist. At least Bernie did. I'm a democratic socialist. He did that sort of thing. But not personally a fan of it. I'm surprised he still won despite it. But I've been like, since I discovered his campaign in November, I've been a huge fan of it. I'm like, since like 2021, I've been really big on the like digital side of things. Like I've been, I've been pushing like senators and different Congress people to like work with influencers. I've worked with like Destiny and all these fucking like terminally online people to get their people out. But I think of this as like the biggest evidence of that style of politics really working.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's my quick take. I know someone else was talking.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, I don't like Zohran, but the aura is amazing. Like
he has great aura, and plus the baddie wife. Like, goddamn.
I know, and I made a comment on that, and a lot of people got mad at me. I just said, listen, my Levantine heritage, I have to say, and a lot of people got mad at me. But look, he's got an amazing aura, and it's sad that the centrists like myself, there's nobody with the aura like this. It's very sad.
There really isn't.
Tracing Woodgrains, you go. Sorry, man.
Yeah, well, it's on kind of the note of that, and on the note of like coalition building stuff. One thing that I saw from some of my more, left-leaning people in my circles, we were talking about how if you look at what Sanders was doing in the in like the 2016-2020 campaigns, he was like me against everyone. He's like, screw you, Warren, screw you, everyone else. Like, I'm doing my own thing. And he really did not bring anyone else on board with him. Like, he didn't really cross-endorse with Warren, didn't really they were competing against each other, so forth. And what Mamdani did a much better job, like building bridges, or at least looking like he was building bridges with people not quite as far left as him, in a way that I don't think we've really seen socialist candidates do up to this point.
That's a good
so
point.
That was kind of a game changer in that lane.
Yeah.
He actually tried to reach out to the abundance liberals, whereas like if you look at like Chapo Trap House, recently Chapo Trap House, like the abundance liberals asked, can we go on your show? And they literally just said like, fuck you and die. Like,
yeah, they're like, you're horrible people, and anybody like you is a horrible person. That's what they say.
Yeah. So it's amazing. Like Zohran actually has, it's amazing. I think Maya, you said this. Corey, thanks for joining, by the way. We'll have your takes as well in a second.
Yeah.
I think Maya said this, where like the globalizer intifada thing was so stupid. And I actually thought that might actually kill the campaign for him, because it was just so stupid. Like the fact that he was willing to die on that hill. But like, unlike most other like maximalist socialists who like, they have to be ideologically pure on every single thing. At least he actually tried to reach out to like, moderates with the abundance stuff and everything. Normally these types of people don't do that. So it's amazing.
Yeah, he went on with Derek Thompson yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying, Maya? Yeah.
Oh, that actually kind of scared me a little bit more about his like perspective on Israel. Like if he's willing to be a bit more of an abundance crat and all this stuff, like he's willing to negotiate on those issues, but he's not willing to negotiate on the Intifada thing. I was like, oh, I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know what your priorities
are. That's a great take, actually. It is a little bit like concerning that he's willing to sort of moderate on a lot of stuff, but just like globalize the Intifada, which is the worst slogan in fucking history. Like that's the line in the sand. But Corey, what are your thoughts on this? This is really interesting right now.
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised. I thought that it was gonna be closer than what it was, and I predicted a Cuomo like victory. I think that most people he was like the favorite, even though there was some suggestion that there were some suggestions that Mamdani was kind of closing in like the final weeks or so, but I thought Cuomo still had enough of a cushion to pull it off. I'm not sure where you guys are all located, but in New York City, it's like literally 100 degrees today. So there's some speculation that the heat, it was so hot that a lot of the older voters that Cuomo was depending upon just didn't show up, right? So that potentially could have been like a factor here. But still, like Mamdani just like way outperformed his election day votes in Staten Island, which is like the most conservative borough of New York City or area of New York City. I think he like almost split it. It wasn't 50-50, but it was maybe like 60-40 to Cuomo. And like Cuomo was expected to get like 90% of the vote out there. Because like that area went for like Trump. Like they went for Trump in 2024. So like I don't think anyone was expecting that. And I think that, Mamdani just pulled it off. And so I disagree with like probably 90% of his policies, but I will say that like he did run a good campaign. I've said this multiple times. Like I think watching his campaign, he was like energetic. You can tell he was excited. You can tell he really wanted the job. They really liked New York City. He was talking literally to everyone. He was going everywhere, even places that were, adversarial towards him, like going to a synagogue or going to like a lot of different Jewish events where he knew he was going to be questioned on a lot of controversial things. He wasn't afraid to go there. And I also, like I said, like he said lots of controversial things during this race. I think, like I've said before, I don't think most people in a local election are going to vote based on like a foreign policy issue, like 4,000 miles away. So like, I don't think it was like ever going to be decisive, but I also thought that it was like this wedge issue that could potentially capsize him with like, or at least turn up like, the turnout amongst like certain demographics, like older Jewish voters or things like that, that could really hurt him. And I'm not going to say the strategy like didn't work in the sense of like, I think the Jewish voters did turn out, but I think that he just collapsed basically with a lot of other coalitions that he thought he was going to get. And I think Mamdani just way overperformed expectations. So now he's going to be the Democratic nominee, and then Cuomo and Adams are going to run in the general election alongside Kurt Stewa. So who knows what happens? I'm predicting Mamdani's still going to win. I think he's going to win the general election as well, even though it's possible he may not. But like I think he's going to pull that out.
Yeah, it's a really good point you raised where it's like he actually is willing to talk to people who don't like him, which is like literally the most rare thing I've ever seen from a fucking socialist. Like normally these people like literally just tell you to kill yourself. Like that's literally the exchange we saw between Chapo Trap House and the Abundance people. Like Ezra Klein said, "Can we go on your show?" And they literally said, "Kill yourself." Like Zohran actually is willing to talk, which is I respect that. He ran objectively the best campaign ever. So much energy, so much aura. He has a big, nice smile. His wife's hot. I get killed for saying this. It's really unfair. He had AOC endorse him. It kills me as somebody who is not a big fan of race communist, space communism policies. Like I think it's bad, but a brilliant campaign. And I can't believe how shit Cuomo's campaign was. He literally did nothing. Like no campaigning at all, invisible, no policies. Just literally the worst possible campaign against the best possible campaign.
A good analogy was Cuomo's team was out this morning. They were standing in a parking spot because his team was standing in the spot, so he would be able to park there when he got into town. Meanwhile, Zohran walked the length of Manhattan overnight the other night, and it's like this guy.
Crazy.
I didn't even see Team Cuomo anything online. I think Cuomo just was planning on being like, this guy doesn't like Israel, and he thought that was going to be enough to get him over the line.
Well, I think the name recognition. I think he was really banking on just the name recognition and familiarity with him in particular. Yeah.
But he's disgraceful being governor.
Like, that's not sustainable. And so what I really saw with the Cuomo Zohran thing, it was very similar to the Biden-Bernie thing, where you have this old guy who is just coasting on name recognition among voters who aren't as tuned in, aren't as invested, not the like young, educated voters, who's trying to like hold the line with like carry the Democratic Party brand against these like left insurgents. And that's just not sustainable. You can't just have like a lot of old kind of lame candidates who don't really have any good vision, don't really have any good ideas, but just are not socialists and hope to get over the line with them. And, you know, last time it worked with Biden, this time it did not work at all with Cuomo. Yeah. And I can't really blame anyone for it not working other than Cuomo for running again. And I don't know.
I want to say sorry to Tolly because sorry the comments are on over your face. I'm gonna try to fix that. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Maya?
That's fine.
Oh, I was gonna say like, and we should also blame like a lot of the New York City like establishment Dems for their all of them going out and endorsing Cuomo. I get why you do it. You're kind of scared. The big like dick swinging governor is coming back, and now he wants to be mayor, right? But like we had an amazing like array of great mayoral candidates. We had Lander, great. Adams was great. Stringer, Zaire, and like you choose the one guy who molested 13 women. Like,
it's fucking so bad. What the fuck were they thinking, man? So bad. It like literally found just old guy, no policies, resigned in disgrace, molested 13 women. What the fuck were they thinking? My God, it's so bad.
I don't know. It's depressing as someone who's on the center left to see that the only people that like the center left is able to muster up are like essentially the human equivalent of like recasting Robert Downey Jr. as a Doom or whatever in the new Marvel movie, where they're just like, oh, nostalgia. You remember this guy, Cuomo? Vote for him.
It's so over. It's so over.
We need something.
I completely agree, Mike. There's got to be a ton of centrist liberals that are kicking themselves for not running right now. Like somebody like even Andrew Yang probably could have had a run this time, or even Mayor Bloomberg could have come back. Like the door was so open, and for them to coalesce around Cuomo was just crazy.
Just literally the worst candidate in fucking history. I like because I've been so critical of Zohran, but when people say, "Oh, so you want Cuomo to win?" Like, no, not in a million years. I can't ever. Like, I couldn't even say that for a second. He's so shit in every single possible way. I've got your comment on the screen, Bill. Zohran is everywhere in New York City, morning and night. Cuomo is completely missing in action. His team is standing in a parking space to hold it for him. Like the worst people do at an event. Also, the car is a Dodge Charger. My God, just the worst candidate of all time. Like literally, just couldn't find a worse campaign. It's so bad, man.
Oh, and even worse, apparently Cuomo lives 3 blocks away from the polling location. So like, what is he even driving for?
He lives in Westchester. Apparently, he just sublets like a place, so it looks like he has a residency in the city, but he does not live in New York.
That's so bad.
So bad.
Yeah. No, Zohran's team hammered that home that Cuomo didn't live in New York since the 90s, which apparently is true.
And talking about that, like there's a weird attack recently. It's like, I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. Like, oh, Zohran's only been a citizen for 8 years. I'm like, I don't know. Like, if you live here, you live here, right? Like, you live in the city. It seems like a weird.
Actually, hold on. That's kind of relieving. It means that I don't have to worry about a Zohran presidential run down the line.
Yeah.
That's healthy. That's good. I'm actually glad about it. But no, you're absolutely right. Like he 8 years is plenty of time to be a citizen in the United States. Like if he's there, if he wants to be mayor, by all means.
And like also he was living in New York City since he was 7 years old, right? Like he became a citizen 8 years ago, but like I mean he's more New Yorker than Cuomo, for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
I mean, I just think that like one thing that he's going to really struggle with is like actually like running the city is in and of itself. Like if he does, assuming he wins general election, like running the city is going to be so different than like actually just like, you know, posting videos on social media. Like this is a guy who hasn't had a real job. Like he didn't have a real job till he was like 29 years old. Like his resume.
I don't have a real job, so I have to say
sure,
that.
but like,
most people without real jobs.
Yeah, but you're not running for mayor of like Sydney, right? Like so, like it's just different. Like I think that like he hasn't really had a real job. He doesn't really have much experience. He's running entirely on his charisma and charm and looks and all these like superficial things. And
that's enough. That's enough these days.
No, it's enough, but it's like when you actually get in office, it's like, okay, like how are you going to handle crime? This is a guy who's a prison abolitionist, and like you're gonna run the city based on like punishing people who are productive and actually doing well versus like I would say rewarding criminals by basically like not punishing them. I think he wants to build like homeless shelters in the subway, just like a lot of crazy things that have very negative impacts, I think, on others. So to me, I think that, I'm from Chicago. So like we have a socialist mayor, Brandon Johnson. And one thing I can say is that his policies have been a complete failure, so bad that like he can barely get anything past our city hall. At this point, it's like people will not vote for or agree with anything or pass any of the legislation that he's trying to push forward. Yeah, he's hated. He has like a 7% approval rating, and like a lot of it is just like with socialists. Like when it comes to criminals, crime, when it comes to a lot of the important things that comes with like running a city, they refuse to actually like punish people who deserve it, and they coddle them. Meanwhile, trying to make villains out of like businesses and like all of these like other villains. So like business people who may have money. It's listen, like I'm not trying to like fillet millionaires or billionaires or anything, but it's just like factually true. In the city of New York, I think millionaires are like 1 out of every 20 people, and they pay like about over 40% of the taxes in the city. So it's like if you're going to run away that population, you're chasing away a lot of your tax base, and someone has to pay for all of the like flashy social programs that you want to put forward. So it's like at a certain point you have to moderate. Like I think the mayor of New York City should be someone that actually has business sense. And you can be progressive. You can want to have like give away things to the public, but it's like you still have to have some sort of understanding that you have to be friendly to business interests. And I think socialists are just adamantly opposed to that. So like it'll be interesting to see how Wall Street is able to work with someone like Zohran Mamdani, because I think that he's probably going to try to tax them in ways, and which I'm not opposed to, but it's like he'll probably do it in ways that probably really hurt, the city's the country's financial center, which I think is bad for America probably.
I was just going to say, we've got Ratimi here. Ratimi, thanks so much for joining. Somebody said the Twitter Avengers. I'm very proud of this Twitter panel. It's actually amazing. This is great. Ratimi is the guy who wrote MAGA Maoism and got it into the page of the Washington Post. So it's really cool to have you here, man. Thanks for joining. Oh, I think you're on mute. Are you there? Hang on. Have we got it? It was just muted.
Do you guys hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey,
Well, awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
This
and
is excellent.
It's good to see a lot of familiar faces, and obviously the great Tracing Woodgrains, a good friend of mine, is here, and so I think we'll have a good conversation. Tonight has been crazy. I'm talking to some buddies who worked on the NYC mayoral race, the media campaign, who did a lot of Zohran's work. Is called Fight Agency. And they're a really good group of like young, upstart, scrappy media consultants. And so I think tonight, in my opinion, is another loss of, I think, the Clinton-Obama centrist wing, in a sense where they haven't really recalibrated to, I think, the populism that is emerging out of the working class. Not that I don't think they can fix it later, in the sense with better candidates, but I think they really have thought that all they have to do is tap into the well of some of the past folks that have come up, and that's how they can win. I think the way that centrists are going to have to go forward is with exciting and inspiring people like Wes Moore in Maryland, folks like Josh Shapiro, that are cool and exciting, not sex pests like Cuomo. And I think it shows also, my last point here is I think it shows a fundamental laziness. This idea that, Zohran was a socialist and he has all these crazy ideas. So all you have to do is just put up someone that like people sort of know, and that will be it. And it turns out this guy ran a very aggressive campaign, really was thinking about how he was reaching out to voters. And I think, you know, that has really shown, I think, the weakness of the Obama-Clinton centrist vision. Like, this is just another L. Like, Kamala was their love child, and now, like, you know, it's all been put to shit. You know,
I agree with that so much.
I actually want to push back on it. First off, it's nice to meet you, Rotimi.
Nice to meet you, man.
Follow each other. Yeah. So, like, a couple of things is that, I'm getting echo. I hate that. So one thing that I think is important to kind of point out is
have you got it?
Kamala, when she ran, she wasn't perceived as.
Hey, Corey, have you potentially got the link open? Have you got like the YouTube open at the same time, maybe, or something like that?
Oh, maybe I do.
Yeah, it could be that. Could be that.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. So, like, one thing that's interesting is that Kamala was perceived as more extreme as Trump when she ran into 2024 election. So, like, if you look at polls, the median voter saw Trump as more ideologically close to them than Harris was. So, like, I'm not sure if the lesson is that you have to run like more to the left, but even if you run to the left, you can probably still win as long as you at least present as moderate to the average person. Like, for example, Biden in 2020 ran on a very progressive campaign, but most people just look at him and they saw like a normal kind of like grandpa white dude. And so I think, like, to your point, I think that as someone like a Wes Moore or Josh Shapiro ran a very progressive platform, but they were perceived as like more moderate, they could still probably win. But I'm not still of the opinion that, like,
Cuomo conceded.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Hang on, let me try to put that up.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has anything nice to say about Zohran. That's going to be crazy.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Corey. Let me put that up. Hang on.
Wait, Ame. Fear me.
Hang on. Let me try to see. How do I put this on? 1 second. Wow. It's actually extraordinary. Hang on. I'm gonna try fix the sorry guys, I'm gonna try fix the screen so that we can all be on the screen at the same time with this.
Bottoms up, folks.
It's probably a party in Bushwick right now.
Damn. Hang on. I gotta try edit the screen somehow.
Average donation for the Zohran Mamdani
This is great.
is $80.
This is okay. That's actually pretty good. This is a great panel. I'm very proud. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you.
But like you said, big business, whether it's Mike
Wow.
or the head of the Hess
So we're gonna
Corporation,
see Zohran speak soon.
Home
Wow.
Depot or other Trump donors really donated to a super PAC to try to, take Mamdani.
By the way, if you're watching, please leave a like on the stream, guys. Leave a like on the Drew Pavlis show. It helps us reach more people. Very important.
They don't like Zohran Mamdani. Why? Because he wants to raise taxes. We know that potential agenda in the state legislature in Albany may not have a lot of support there.
Damn, I'm excited to see what Zohran says.
Say that there's no support there. So we'll see.
I'm kind of excited to see how the center wing of the party reacts to this.
Yeah.
Pretty humiliating loss.
I mean, I think the whole, like, and I agree with this to a certain extent. I feel like they're gonna say, this message won't work in Pennsylvania, won't work in Michigan,
anywhere.
And that's true. And it obviously won't. Like, Zohran will get his ass beat if he ran in Florida for Senate. Like, like I mean? Like,
that's true.
But it does say something about where Democratic voters are right now. And I think they are very angry at the elite political class in the Democratic Party that told them they could beat Trump and they lost twice. And Zohran ran against that very clearly.
Yeah, that's so true. I've got a comment here. Sorry I'm late to join. Why is everyone happy with socialist populism? I thought Drew is a pro-capitalist liberal. I am. Listen, I don't like Zohran. I'm sad that he won. But the thing is, I'm just saying, he had an amazing aura. He ran an amazing campaign. Next to Cuomo, literally running the shittest campaign in history. And I'm not happy that he won. I think he's bad, but it's at least interesting. I mean, I'm not living in your city. I'm living in Australia right now. I'm interested in this as a political observer. I think a lot of the people here I think most of the panel is not necessarily supportive of Zohran, but mainly just think Cuomo ran the shittest campaign ever. And I mean, I agree with that, but yeah.
Yeah, this is like blackpilling that he won. This is not good.
Although I know Maya does support him though.
I support him being.
I'm
Go ahead, Maya. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I would call myself like a liberal populist. I think obviously people are not ready for socialist policies. They don't want socialist policies. I don't want them. They're probably like the biggest sticking points against the Zohran campaign. But people do like populism. People don't like this establishment aura. You know, it's like, hey, you can't have the things that you want to have because of X convoluted factors that you're never really going to understand. They don't like this partisan that, like, if you look at any of the most successful politicians recently, they're all people who have denounced politics. Like even Trump, to an extent, has been very clear to go after like the right and the left equal amounts, right? Like in a way that we don't see any other Democrats do, except for maybe like Bernie or Mamdani. And I think that's a big part of their appeal with voters. But I mean, like, my thing since I started working in politics, since it's like 2021, is like make liberalism sexy again, you know, like wrap it around that like sexy fucking populism, you know. Let's remind people what liberalism can do. Let's bring it back to like FDR. Let's bring it back to, you know, a little bit of big old Teddy, you know, minus the imperialism and some of the weird fascist stuff. But like, I've got 30 shirts that say "Make liberalism sexy again," ready to be sold, and I'm waiting for the revolution.
That's good. I like that.
I want liberalism to be sexy and to not go in the populist direction. In the battle between populism and elitism, I'm team elitism. I don't think that we should be.
I like elites. Like I love Lander, you know, or like I love elitist messaging.
I'm so distressed. I'm so distressed about the move on the left and the right towards this fuck America, fuck everything, fuck all of our institutions populism.
Yeah. So I think the reality is that and I think something that, and I say this to some of my centrist friends, is the rise of populism in the United States is an exact result of centrist failure. You know, populism becomes popular when people don't feel like the status quo folks are doing whatever they want them to do. So I think the way for, and I consider myself someone that I am very much economically a little bit on the left, but socially fairly moderate. I want a type of FDR, big government, but I don't really think socialism makes much sense. But I do think that the rise of populism is very much a failure of the centrist and kind of lowercase liberalist Democrats able to create a winning coalition. And because they've lost so much, now people are like, well, maybe I'll dip my toe in this, you know, populist stuff. So yeah, no.
So I was gonna say, one way to sort of square this circle, right, is to say that like you can have a sort of, and this is just me sort of preaching my own goals, right, is you can have a sort of like anti-establishment competence-focused thing where you're looking and saying the Democratic Party establishment has failed in all sorts of ways, like Kamala failed, Biden failed, Cuomo failed, all of these guys absolutely failed. That you need a complete cleaning out of house with that, but you can do so in a competence-oriented, like just technocratic type of way, taking the institutional crisis seriously and trying to fix the institutions rather than just a pure populist burn it all down.
Yeah, and when I say make liberalism sexy again, that's exactly what I mean, right? Like standard Joe Biden liberalism with the sheen of something new. Maybe that's like the good is. I don't consider it so, but
I was gonna say to Tali, like, I'm very much anti-populist in the sense that, like, I don't like the whole fuck America type movement and the people who want to trash institutions and stuff like that. But at least we should have aura. We should have aura. And that's what I mean, I guess, when I say populism, right? Like, it just have fucking...
No, you're right.
Zohran walking down Manhattan with Emily Ratajkowski next to him and his hot wife. Like, this is what you need. You need to have aura. You need to have...
the aura is with the idiots.
Yeah.
The aura is with the idiots. And so I agree. Yeah.
Obama had it.
I'm black-pilled right now. Obama had it.
Would you rather have pure ideals and lose a bunch of elections, or would you rather, you know, play around in the mud and win? You know, look at what leftists have done. Like, they have one victory for once, but for like last 40 years, they've been sticking to their ideals and losing.
Yeah,
well, I think Zohran. I don't know that Zohran is really doing the whole play around in the mud thing. Like, he did not do the Chapo dirtbag strategy, right? He did much more of a like get along with people, be friendly, be a normal, like sane seeming person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say,
like
this campaign he did
populism in general, not like fighting. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Zohran launched this campaign right after Kamala had lost the election. I noticed the first thing Zohran did all the way back in after November was he went out and interviewed people and asked them, why did you support President Trump? And his angle was to not be like the Daily Show, like get a, oh, I gotcha, you look stupid moment. He was just genuinely talking to them like, okay, so that's your concerns, and I see why you supported Trump for that. And he took a new lane, and I think he just won over a lot of hearts with that. And he was able to not
amazing.
just depend on that DSA vote. He got a lot of what should have gone to a good centrist liberal candidate that wasn't there.
That's so true.
I was telling one of my texting a friend so I'm in Philly here. There's a really big DSA chapter. I'm not really a big fan of them. I like some folks there, but they kind of get on my nerves a little bit. And I was texting someone that I was like, this is like an example. When you guys focus on the economic stuff, you have a good shot. When you start talking about colonizing places and like this like very weird like just like nonsense crap that no one wants to hear about how you guys want to like revolutionize everything, it's very unattractive. But when you talk about the bread and butter issues that you guys actually like do have some strong arguments on, like, you know, the working class has seen their wages go down. Like, you have these like strong big arguments. When you lean into that, you have a better chance. But when, you know, and I think Zohran did a good job of trying to run away from that stuff. I thought he could do it a little more strongly, in my opinion. But I did see him slowly realizing that, you know, it's better when I'm talking about the buses running on time rather than, you know, giving my awful answer, in my opinion. I thought on globalizing intifada, that shit was really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is the funny thing. If he didn't have that stupid globalized intifada thing, he probably would be doing even better than he is. It's kind of crazy that he even had that stupid moment in the first place. This is a good comment by Tim Page. Without masked ICE officers dragging people off the street on Trump's orders, a radical anti-Zionist wouldn't have won this election. I mean, that's part of it as well.
Is it?
Obviously.
Yeah, Trump
it is.
Like he got that when Mark Carney won the Canadian election. Trump kind of scorched conservative movements in other countries. It probably did play.
In Australia, that happened in
Like
Australia.
it-
massively.
It excited voters against Trumpism, basically. I
Any
mean, I guess.
conservative.
But I mean, this is like a primary. But you're right.
You know what's funny? Curtis Yarvin had a take like this where he basically said he agrees with the strategy of actually just taking people off the streets, but then he was like, you shouldn't do it in this way because the optics are so bad that it's bad for us. Like, that was what Curtis Yarvin was saying.
Yeah, he was like, you shouldn't ban people. You should do like big things softly. Like, you don't want his thing was like Trump is doing small, sharp things, like things that everyone hates, that get a lot of attention and everything, rather than just like quietly being a fascist.
Yeah, no.
They did a poll showing most Americans support some form of deportation, but most Americans are also against these masked ICE agents. The optics are terrible, and it just looks heartless.
Banning people is fucking scary. It's terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah, and I also think that goes to kind of, you know, even back to Zohran, because, you know, if you're a Democrat, deep blue voter in New York, you're watching Republicans do all the things that they want to do, their laundry list, deporting everyone. Like, they're really hitting the edges of, you know, their kind of big ideas. And a Democrat comes out with big ideas, you're like, well, I mean, they're getting their share.
It's our turn.
Like, it's our turn. Like, why don't we get everything we want? And which, again, it's just like the centrist idea of piecemeal victories is like, I think it makes sense in practice because that's how America has got better. You know, you didn't solve civil rights with one civil rights bill. You did little bills over a period of time, practically. But people want something bigger than themselves to believe in. And, you know, I think that's what Zohran again nailed totally.
Could you have, I think Maya touched on this a bit. Could you have kind of like abundance liberalism, but just make it with aura and make it like cool and populist in a sense, you know?
Yes,
Could you
can.
just do
I mean, Bill
populist liberal
Clinton was
secularism?
a
I don't
big
know.
actor. He's kind of like the epitome of that. I think we need a new version of it. Like, I don't think Bill Clinton would work today, but, you know.
Yeah.
I
Bill
think
Clinton
the
wouldn't work today
problem-
because of the Epstein stuff.
The problem comes, I mean, Ezra Klein has aura. Like he's not like Gen Z and like super online. I don't know.
He's got
like
wonk aura.
charming.
Wonk
he's
aura,
got
yeah,
like
that's a different
SF
thing.
party aura, you know.
That's I don't know. But like you see how hard the left came at Ezra Klein, and it's not like he has boomer aura. It's like the far left doesn't want a Bill Clinton. They don't want Bill Clinton aura.
That's true, Tal. Yeah, they hate it, Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson. Yeah, like
it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that, though, to be honest, like the leftists that are like screaming on Twitter about abundance are mainly just like personality beefs. Like it's not even really about the issues. Like whenever you look at it, it's like never really about the issue. It's about like, oh, like I don't like Matt Iglesias or like someone like, you know, and
but Ezra Klein.
But yeah, but Ezra Klein's in that world, you know, he's Vox. They had like Vox together. Like that's his like very good friend. And so, I mean, I'm an Ezra. I don't like when they do that personally. But I think to the larger question of who can represent kind of that exciting centrism, I think the people that can do it are Westmore in Maryland, Governor Westmore. I think he's probably the best shot at doing that. You know, you look at Westmore and that's someone that could kick your ass. That guy has biceps that are the size of like multiple books. He's a former Army Ranger, has a Bronze Star. Like he's actually like cool. You know,
Westmore
you see him you see him at the Baltimore Orioles game. He's like chugging a beer, and he looks like a fun guy to be around. But he's, you know, his background, he's not a leftist. You know, so I think the centrists need to lean into people like him, people like Shapiro that are at the Eagles game here in Philadelphia, and you know the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He was throwing out beers. You know, the crowd. He's a very fun. You know, he looks like a cool dad.
Westmore looks like a great candidate.
Exactly.
I think
yeah. So I think those people, that's what they lean into.
I hear that. On the other hand, I don't know that I want like, I mean, and I'm not like a representative of the like standard Democrat, right? But I don't exactly want like standard Democrat, but like has muscles and cool and everything, right? I want someone who can like clearly articulate a positive centrist vision that isn't just like this incremental what leftists want, but a little bit slower. Like we see the leftists as moral exemplars. We just think that they're a little bit too hasty with things, and so we're going to like tiptoe that. I want someone who can really champion this sort of like no, capitalism really is good. We like market economies. We like these things, so forth. But we also don't want to be like crazy like the Republican Party is right now. And yeah, for that, I think you do need someone who's willing to buck orthodoxy a little bit more. Someone who has some of their own ideas versus just being an avatar of the party. And I think people like Westmore. I don't have anything against Westmore. I just don't know that he's that.
I think it's really hard.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say one thing. We got a comment here by Tim. He said, "Tell them about Stephen Mulsrew." This is something, Maya, you should look into this because I know you work for the Democrats and everything. He's like a Labor premier in my state in Queensland. He lost the election. He basically got drafted in at the last moment because we've got like a Westminster system where like leaders can get knifed and they get replaced and everything. Labor Party was on track to be reduced to like 10 seats in a 90-seat unicameral parliament. And he got drafted in at last minute to sort of save the furniture. And he ended up saving it to like 30, kept them to like 35 seats. And he's actually the perfect example of this. You should look into this, Maya. Like he's like a gym bro. He's a really progressive guy, but he's like a gym bro. He ran a campaign a little bit like Zohran, where like he was out there on the streets. He was just campaigning. He would literally just go out there and like interview like just random 20-year-olds at bus stations and stuff like that, asking them what they want. It was a really good campaign. Like it's kind of one of the best ones that I've seen. That's the type of energy you need. Like powerful aura, energetic. You're out there on the street talking to people. I think that's what you need.
No, I was I recently was doing a Jack will know about this, but I was writing a big like paper last semester about the voting rights laws that have changed in the country in law school. And I was looking back on some like historical archive footage, and one of the coolest like historical videos I think I've ever seen is Bobby Kennedy running down the street in Brooklyn. And you see this like video of him just sprinting down the street in a full suit and Reebok sneakers. And these like Black and Latino and Jewish kids are chasing him down the street being like, Bobby, like, we want to talk to you. And when I saw those Zohran videos,
That's so cool.
I was like, oh man, he's tapping into some like real aura right now. Like this is like, he's doing something. And I mean, it's just, I mean, you know, the people that do that they win.
Yeah. I'll quickly guys. I'll show you this really quickly. This was our premier in Queensland, and he literally almost won from being 20 points behind in the polls just because he was doing gym stuff. Like it's very powerful. if you've got like a good-looking, charismatic person who can just talk and is energetic, like you can do very well. It's crazy.
So what?
I hope we don't go further down that road, though.
Well, no, not Hassan.
Yeah,
Hassan is too much of a communist. Like
it feels like a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. It is. That's a good point. That is a good point.
I mean, yeah, you can definitely lean too much into it, and like end up just like being like crazy. But you know, I do think the Democratic Party has people that can be the like cool, exciting centrist. We'll just have to see the type of folks that come up in 26. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I saw the DCCC picked up a really interesting recruitment. Obama's former guy who carried the nuclear football is running in Texas in a Republican race. Very interesting guy, former Navy SEAL. That's beautiful
cool.
family. Like that's a good, like that is someone. It's like run that person. You know, so they got to recruit better people. And the DSA, I will say, for the first time, maybe ever, recruited someone that didn't sound like a fucking psychopath. Which
I know. It's
Where did they find him? They made him
a different message. Zohran did sound like a typical DSA member when he got his first seat through DSA as an assembly member. He ran on socialist feminism, was his tagline. So he just switched it up this time. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever seen them actually try to reach out to moderates. It's crazy. Like normally it's all purity politics. It's amazing.
I know. And then I was talking to like some sitting representatives in like Georgia and in New York City, and they're upset at Zohran for doing it. They were saying that he was betraying his DSA roots, and I'm like, come on, dude! Like this is the one time you're gonna get our fucking vote, and you're trying to drop it.
Addicted to losing.
Did you see? They had someone. Did you see they had someone come up in that church and scream at him saying like, "Oh, you're supporting Israel," which was just so insane. Like that was so mental.
It only helps.
Yeah, Israel isn't enough.
Literally helping exactly.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like Mamdani has gone so far on that issue, and I think part of it is because of that, right? Like I think he got in trouble because one time he literally told reporters that he supported Israel's right to exist, which is kind of like the most milquetoast thing that American politicians can say. It's like non-controversial here. I don't know what it is in Australia, but over there, it's the same. Yeah, it's like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But he got like confronted at like several events where progressives are saying, "How dare you say that Israel has a right to exist? This isn't your land. This is our land." He was confronted by Palestinian, supporters,
which helped
for saying that he believes Israel's right to exist. So they screamed at him, called him a Zionist, all types of terrible things. And like I said, this is a guy who literally founded a Students for Justice of Palestine chapter at his college. So he's really committed to this movement. So like the pro-Palestine people, they're so purist and they like eat their own. There's like, you have to be like 100% committed to everything anti-Israel. So he's had to go further and further to the point where he had to literally defend globalized intifada, which is a call for violence. Like you can say that technically it means struggle or whatever. I don't care. Like I'm black. If someone told me like, the South will rise again, and then try to justify it by saying, "Oh, it just means states' rights." I'd be like, "No, that's bullshit. We know what it means."
You're right.
And globalized intifada
it's actually despicable. Yeah. And it did work in his favor because. Well, this is also part of like the negative polarization because the Trump administration trying to like pretend that they are trying to protect Jews by limiting speech that they perceive as anti-Semitic, that fuels the anti-Semites on the left, of which there are many, to say, look, we're being censored. Everyone's just leaning into that. I'm distracted by the echo too. Is anyone listening without headphones or something?
I'm off headphones. I'm
Is everyone else hearing the echo?
Yeah, it's Rotimi. It's definitely not you.
I think.
Corey. Shit. Okay.
Is it me? I'm closing a bunch of stuff.
No. I think you're fine, Rotimi.
Okay.
It could be Bill potentially.
No, I'm headphoned in.
Headphones. Tracy's got headphones. Corey, potentially?
I just took my headphones off. Can you hear them? Do you hear echo now?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't get an echo now. Could it be me? I don't know.
I got rid of a bunch of tabs.
Well,
but I have one question for the group. Because my younger sister just sent me this video. Zohran said in an interview last year that if Benjamin Netanyahu came to NYC, he'd be immediately arrested by the NYPD. Do we actually think that is gonna happen? Like, if Bibi goes to like the UN for some like
it's perfect now, by
bullshit
the way.
meeting they do. Yeah, like, is he actually gonna do this? Or I mean, if he doesn't, some folks will get mad.
Noah
at him.
Smith's here. Oh
Hi,
my God,
I'm
what a
here.
panel.
I have
What
to
a
leave
panel.
in like a few minutes, so.
Noah, tell us your thoughts. Thank you for joining, man. This is a great panel.
Love your
Brilliant.
Really?
Brilliant.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you, Noah. I've been following you for years.
Me too.
Wow, I really love all you guys, even though I have no idea who you are. Wait, how do I tell who's who?
Ratimi
You have to
wrote
just guess.
Ratimi wrote Magamalism in the Washington Post.
Oh, that was
Corey
a good
Wolf-
article. I quoted
Thanks
that
a
a lot.
lot. Big fan of your stuff also. It's really great to be here.
So we've got a lot of great
thanks.
people here.
Yeah, no, I have to leave in like 10 minutes, so I'm
Tell us your
sorry.
thoughts. Tell us your thoughts while you're here. Thanks for joining.
My thoughts on the New York election?
Yeah. Please do, please.
Well, I don't know. I mean, New York kind of has a history. I mean, it elected de Blasio, right? Like they occasionally elect a leftist guy, and usually they get pissed and kick him out, and then they elect like a centrist guy, and they get pissed and kick him out, and then occasionally they elect like I don't know. Anyway, they just seem to alternate between these kind of guys. I don't know. It's New York.
This is true. Do you think it has implications for Democrats nationally, like beyond just New York City?
I don't know. I have no idea, honestly. Like, I think he'll become another like rising star, like AOC, and then you'll see this process where he tacks to the center and moderates over the years. He uses the socialism thing to break in, and then moderates because he's got good political instincts. You can already see him doing it with like saying, "Oh yeah, actually, the private sector needs to build some housing too." Yes, and actually, we shouldn't defund the police. We should just fund this other thing in addition. So he's already, you can already see sort of AOC transformation going on. So I think he's just going to be like AOC. He's the boy AOC. He's like the hot guy. Like he's like charismatic and hot, kind of like outsider. And but he has good instincts. He's a smart guy. So we'll see where he goes.
Oh, interesting see where it goes, because like in Chicago, I'm from Chicago. We have Brandon Johnson, who's also a socialist, who was a member of the Chicago Teachers Union, which is kind of like, I guess, the equivalent of the DSA in New York. It's like our Chicago version. And he stuck to their program 100%. And he has like a 5% approval rating. He is extremely unpopular. So I think that once you actually like get in office and you're forced to make these decisions, it's like I think you realize like the world is not like a college dorm where you can just say insane things and just like think it's all going to come true. Everyone gets a puppy. You have to make difficult decisions. I think Mayor Wu and Michelle Wu in Boston also kind of ran as this like very progressive kind of lefty person, and then she kind of had to moderate and kind of do more things that favored business interests and things like that. Now she's very popular now, but she's really alienated a lot of her left-wing coalition to where like she's going to win re-election. She's a very popular mayor, but at the same time, she doesn't have that same like love from the left that she had before, and that's a sacrifice she made. So for Zohran, when you're running literally the financial capital of the entire world and you're a socialist, if you stick 100% to that program, you're obviously going to alienate a lot of those business interests, and that's going to hurt the city. Well, I think 1 out of every 20 New Yorkers is literally a millionaire. Someone has to pay for those fancy like social programs that you want. So it's like I think he's going to be forced to moderate or probably become an extremely unpopular mayor, especially not just financially, but things on crime in New York City. You can't be a prison abolitionist running the biggest city in America. Like someone has to go to jail. So it's like I think he's going to be forced to kind of moderate himself or face probably becoming extremely unpopular. So it depends. Is he a true believer in the same way Brandon Johnson was, or is he willing to kind of really sell out in order to be a popular mayor? So time will tell.
right? And I think it's important that we haven't seen a single person at the national level who hasn't in some way basically sold out. I mean, I guess the most quote unquote extreme, Congress people are Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, but their so-called extremism is not necessarily economic extremism. They're not like commies. They're just sympathetic to Muslims and Middle Eastern stuff and whatever, Palestine movement, but they're not commies. And we haven't really seen really only Bernie Sanders, I mean, is the only, he's the communist guy, and he's even not that extreme at all.
Yeah, he's a social democrat by European standards, to be honest.
He's just a boomer, so he sounds more extreme to people.
That's true.
I also think true. Bernie would be a conservative in Europe, right? Is that?
He would be far right in Europe. Right here.
No, he'd be like the Trump of Europe.
No, no, absolutely.
Conservative in Europe, really?
No. He'd be a socialist in Europe. He'd probably be more left. To be honest, he'd probably be more left because it'd be more politically acceptable to be even more left wing in Europe.
He'd just be like Corbyn.
I reckon it'd be like Mélenchon in France, maybe. But in the American context, he's kind of social democrat.
I think people don't realize that Democrats are actually very liberal and progressive, even compared to Europeans on a lot of issues, particularly migration. And LGBT rights, where, like, for example, in a lot of Europe, like, it's not uncontroversial to be in the Progressive Party and be anti-trans, or be in the Progressive Party and believe that all the migrants should be deported back to where they come from, right? So it's like, in this country, like, it's, even though we're like, I think the recent Supreme Court decision on gender affirming care for minors has like a 30% approval rate in the country, you're not going to find any mainstream Democrats come out and also support that Supreme Court. Even though it's like electorally smart.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. There was lag. I thought you were done.
No, so basically I'm just saying, like, this notion that Democrats are like this conservative party just isn't. I mean, the Democrats are basically aligned with, or even to the left of Europe, on a whole host of issues, including things like the economy, taxation, healthcare, criminal justice reform, like all of that, the environment. They're basically on the liberal spectrum, or progressive, even sometimes to the left of those things. And you could also make the argument that moving to the left on a lot of those things, particularly the border, and even controversially say LGBT rights, has probably hurt them with a lot of moderate voters, minority voters, particularly religious voters. And those are sacrifices the party has made. So, like, I think that people have this very skewed view of what Europe actually is. I mean, like, even in countries that socialists love, like Denmark and stuff, these places have more billionaires per capita than, like, the United States. Like, a lot of very, very rich people live there in those countries. And also the taxes are set up to where, like, their consumption taxes are very heavy. So, like, a lot of the social programs are paid by disproportionately poor people, even though they help the middle class or the poor there. So I think a lot of socialists want these, like, wish list items that are very expensive, and they are attainable, but it's like they want it at someone else's expense, but they don't realize there's not enough money that those people have to even pay for those things. Like, everyone has to pay more. Want that.
Which is why we should be taxing the top 50 to 25% more. People are talking too much about the 1%. Let's get the middle class, all right? But I think we're going to say.
No, I think on that point, and to be honest, this is one of the things I've said about Zohran constantly. Every policy that he has is going to run up against a brick wall in the city council and the governor. Albany is not going to let some of this shit fly. Just like point blank, like, some of this shit is not going to fly with Albany. City council is only going to go for certain things. And it's been interesting watching, like, sort of the online discourse on the left, which is usually pretty messy and ridiculous. This idea about how, like, oh, if all the billionaires leave New York City, it's going to be better. I'm like, you guys got to pay. We got to pay for all these ideas. So the billionaires actually like have to stay, like, to do this. Right? Like the capital class can't leave because aren't they financing all of this?
It's very true.
I want to be the fly on the wall when when Mamdani does, like, the first meeting with, like, a bunch of hedge fund guys in New York, and they do it with the mayor. They, like, call them up to their, like, really nice, like, business place, and they're gonna sit down and chat. And I just am so curious to see like what he says. Does he just like moderate and be like, yeah, you know, guys, we're gonna
I would literally pay money to see Bill Ackman's group chat right now. Like,
that'd be pretty funny.
They're literally, I guarantee you, they're bankrolling like $100 million pro Eric Adams like super PAC or something right now. Everything
crazy.
I kind of like Eric Adams. He's like, you know, whatever. He's corrupt. I don't care. Like, it's New York.
He's good. He's actually good, to be honest. Like,
he's pretty good.
Eric Adams is such a funny bloke. I love his crazy shit. Like, talking about swagger being your haters become your waiters on the table to success. Like, it's just so good. I love it.
Yeah, people say we need a Trump of the left, and he's right. He's sitting right there, and we won't take him in.
That's true. That's actually great.
He's underrated. Eric Adams is underrated. I'm just like, I care about corruption so much less than like your average, you know, pundit. People just get like really upset about corruption. And I just look at all these developing countries where like the most corrupt people are like the most pro-development people. Like all these prime ministers of Japan that are like insanely corrupt, and yet they're like, you know, tripling the country's income, and then just like, you know, mic drop, and then yet they're like going to jail for corruption. I'm just like, you know,
you should write something about that, Noah, like where you should write something about that where it does actually seem to be the case that like a tiny little bit of amount of corruption. Obviously, we're not talking like full scale, insane levels of corruption, but like a tiny amount to just like kind of grease the wheels. It does seem to actually get development moving. Like, like this is literally the power broker. Like that's what got it done, right? Like,
I mean,
wasn't Adams thing very minor?
$100 million plane, and like no one cares anymore. It was like a news cycle for like 2 days, and it was gone. So it's just like at this point, I don't even know what to say.
He didn't launch a crypto coin. He didn't do Adams coin, at least like Trump did.
I know. I mean, how can you
got a long way to go?
How can you think that? Like, how can you even notice that level of corruption when Trump exists?
Why nations fail. It's very
I
important.
think Trump has definitely normalized this sort of thing to where it just doesn't register with most people anymore. I think a lot of people don't care, or maybe just Trump has like a magnetic like force, or he has like a force field around him to where it doesn't impact him. But like, I just think that when I see this stuff anymore, it's like I feel like I don't care anymore. It's not even scandalous.
I feel the same. I feel like 2016 people would have lost their minds about Trump coin, but it was in the news cycle for like 3 days now. It barely.
I don't know, but that's exactly why Eric Adams' corruption scares me more than any other kind of corruption, because his type of corruption is bowing his head down to Trump, and I just like with everything he wants to do.
That's really bad.
Like really,
I mean, that part's
like,
bad.
If he just wanted to do the Turkish Airlines shit, I'm like, dude, go for it. Like,
yeah, I think Hanania got it right when he basically said like, who cares if Eric Adams sped up a fire permit? Like that part's fine. Like I don't think anyone cares about that. It's more the Trump stuff. I agree with you there, Maya. You're right there.
Yeah. So
Wait, is Sharg in here?
Yeah.
Wait, is Sharg in? Isn't Sharg supposed to be in here?
Oh, I've asked him on. I've asked him on. I hope he said he might join. He's a very funny guy. We had a little bit of a clash over the Iran stuff recently, but I love his shit posting.
I love Sharg.
He said,
Me too.
Iran won tonight in New York. 1979 was an alliance of socialists and Islamists. Soon Mamdani will purge the socialists from his coalition and radical troops will storm consulates in Midtown. Allahu Akbar. It's true. They're going to just execute all the socialists now.
Hi,
and Tim is my fellow Australian political analyst. Tim, what were you going to say before?
I'm not famous. Sorry?
What the comment you wanted to ask the chat?
Oh, I think I just said Mamdani is a valid military target.
We disavow
That's
that.
a joke.
Yeah.
No.
We disavow. No, I want a point someone was making, I can't remember who, sorry, about American leftists have this idea of Europe, the socialism of Europe that comes from their own imagination. I saw some leftist account on Twitter defending his government-owned grocery store, Mamdani's government-owned grocery store proposal by saying, well, it exists in Europe. Well, first of all, Europe is, 30 countries or so, and I'm not aware of any major European city where the government runs the grocery stores. In fact,
what do you think of this, Noah? Like, I'm wondering, what do you think, Noah, about like stuff like the grocery store thing and also like his rent-free stuff? Do you think he really believes the abundance stuff? It seems to me that it's more of like a political feint, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't know. He's just living rent free in our head. I'm kind of underwhelmed by his housing stuff. I looked at his housing proposal, and like the numbers of houses he wants to build is actually small. It's kind of peanuts,
Yeah,
honestly.
right.
And then like and rent control is dumb. Like you can actually get away with mild rent control. Like if you just limit the pace of rent increases, you can actually get away with it, and it can like have some slightly positive effects. It's like sort of like a poor man's land value tax in some ways, but what he's doing is like a full freeze. That's just, it sucks. It makes all the houses like fall apart. Like nobody renovates, and and people don't build new stuff, and everybody turns their apartments into condos, and then you just have a bunch of, I mean, talk about gentrification. You get a bunch of condos, and like and there's research showing that basically like who benefits most from rent control are middle class white people.
Yeah, fact check true.
Traditionally, and then
Shag was saying this today. He had a great tweet on this where he basically said it's kind of like an elite status symbol in New York City if you've got rent control.
Yes.
Yeah.
They want to be working class so bad, the DSA types, that like signal something if you're in a rent controlled unit, even though mostly they're well off.
This was such a good tweet by Shag. He really got it so right. Where it's just like it's a really elite thing if you've got rent control in New York City. It's like generational wealth stuff.
I nominate Shard for new supreme leader of Iran.
Yeah, honestly, I would support that. I'd support that. It'd be so good.
Is that because rent-controlled apartments are in like the Manhattan and the sort of pop culture image of New York is where the rent-controlled apartments are? So living there is a signal you're in the elite, kind of.
Do we have anyone who's lived in New York here?
Oh,
Noah has, and
just
also
a little
Tali.
bit,
I think.
year and a half.
What were you gonna say, Tali?
No, it's not that people move into rent control buildings. The point is that it's very hard to get into a rent controlled unit. But it's a status symbol it's also, there's the joke of it being rich people who have generationally have these beautiful rent controlled apartments, but also it's a virtue signal to be an upper class person and talk about rent control because you're trying to help the poor middle class people. Yeah.
What do we make of the fact that Zohran's support base is basically like rich white people, and all the minorities seem to have voted for Cuomo? What do we make of that? I think Hannati had a great tweet on this where.
I think we have
a big part of it.
I think we have to see more of the exit polls and then some of the post-election stuff. But if that does end up being the case, I do think it is showing. I mean, one of my favorite TV shows, I imagine people here like it, is Mad Men. And there are a lot of really like beautiful, I think, scenes of New York City. And one thing that becomes clear in the show is that New York City at that point, because white flight hadn't happened yet, is that it's just like basically all the rich, wealthy white elites live in New York. And then in the corner of Harlem is where, you have a lot of Black and Latino working class folks. And I think nowadays what you're seeing is gentrification is just increasing in a really rapid rate. People can debate the good and bad of that. I think some of it is good and some of it's bad. I don't really have a blanket opinion on it. But I do really think that New York City is demographically changing. And a lot of those working class folks are just moving to Staten Island or even further outside of the city because they're just getting priced out of their neighborhoods and homes. And I think there's a lot of we could talk about that for hours, whether that's good or not. But I do think that demographic change is rather real and just, it's happening. And I think it's kind of back. Yeah.
I stand corrected that Zohran won Harlem, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
well, he's
also
overperformed.
He would have won South Asian voters as well, obviously.
Yeah.
So he won Harlem, or he didn't?
He won Harlem, apparently, Zohran.
He won. Okay.
So I will say this. I was talking to my mom about this race. She's a Nigerian immigrant woman. She's like centrist Dem. And I remember she's like, oh, I looked up Zohran and he grew up in Uganda. And my mom was like, interesting. And I have to say, I think there were probably some Black voters in the city that if they learned more about his background, I think saw that line, that probably gave them an eyebrow raise. because he has a background that is very diverse and interesting.
Yeah.
In like, you know, he's not just like this very plain background. Like he's lived all over the world. He's lived in different communities and cultures. In a place like New York, where that diversity, I think, plays well for a lot of working class diverse voters, I imagine it helped him. You know.
It's interesting. I think his dad got expelled from Uganda by Idi Amin. I'm not sure about that fact. Like,
I think that's
crazy,
true.
Crazy
Yeah.
fact. Crazy fact, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you think? Noah, what do you think of this? I think Rotimi was asking this just before you joined. Do you think he actually makes good on his threat to arrest Bibi Netanyahu when Netanyahu comes to the UN?
That would be funny.
It would be very interesting. I mean, can the mayor direct the NYPD to do stuff like that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, surely not, because it would be illegal.
Yeah.
Under American
You talk
law.
to the police chief and try
I
to
mean,
get
what
him
can
to
they
do that.
accuse Netanyahu of doing? Like, in order to arrest them, they can't just.
I mean,
even if they did, that would cause like an international crisis, in which I'm sure whoever the president is, assuming it's Trump, would probably put in a phone call and tell them to like, let this the fuck out. Like that would be, he'd be in jail for like 20 minutes. Like what can you charge him with? Like that's insane. So performative.
Guys, I gotta run.
Thanks for joining, Noah.
Me as well. Yeah.
Thanks for joining, Noah. It's awesome
Love
that you
you
joined.
guys.
Thanks,
See you on
Noah.
Twitter.
Thanks, Noah.
Peace.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Yeah. Great chatting with everyone.
Great
I have
chatting.
to dip also. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. No worries.
Thanks.
Thank you, bro.
I also have to jump, but before I
Yeah.
leave, I want to say great to be with you all. I want to share this because I was just texting with someone that works on the Zohran campaign, and he told me this. One thing that is going to be interesting to watch is whether now that Zohran is the Democratic nominee, the establishment Dems in New York have to support the party nominee. And so it's going to be interesting to see whether those folks actually want to support Zohran, or does Gillibrand actually support Eric Adams? Like someone like Schumer, like watching Schumer support Zohran is actually going to be, I don't know, but he's the nominee now. So they have to support the nominee. So that's all I got.
Wild.
Very interesting text from a guy on the campaign, but nice to meet you all, and have a good night.
Thanks for Timmy. I'll have you on the show again.
Take care.
Thank you. Great contributions. Thank you, man.
Let's do it. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, man.
Remember Timmy.
It's been an excellent. Maya, we've got a very important message. The chat is asking for your at.
Oh my, I was literally like pulling up your like live stream on my phone so I could text it. Wait, real quick, Drew. Now that I have your attention, real alert. You put out a tweet on stream. There was a typo in it. You added a G.
Wait, where?
In your tweet.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Wait, which one?
I don't know. I just saw your tweet.
My tweet. Oh, my bad.
Your tweet.
My bad. Oh no. Oh, that sucks. It's because of my keyboard. I got a new keyboard. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you very much, Maya. Thank you. That's very queen-like status to tell me that. Thank you. Yes. What are the comments saying? What's your thoughts on Chuck Schumer? Yeah. What do you think people like Chuck Schumer do in response to this? It's gonna be interesting.
Just
let's
the
see how much
question.
of a party man he is.
Drew, just the question, what are your thoughts on Chuck Schumer made me think of that video from like February or something, where it's like, we won't lose.
Oh, that was did you see that?
It's like zero energy, yeah.
Maya, did you see that? Because Maya's a Democrat strategist. Maya, did you see that one where they had the walking stick? That was maybe not the best optics.
I couldn't watch the rest of it. I had to cringe and stop it.
That was maybe not the best.
Life choices.
This is a good one.
Fuck they're doing. You understand that? They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
It's a shame that he's so funny. I think we all have to objectively agree that Trump is pretty funny. Like
Maya, that's the aura you want to bring to the Democratic Party?
Yes, literally, yeah, exactly it.
I'm kind of terrified of that.
Biden's best moments were whenever he like did some weird shit, like when he wore the MAGA hat, like the Trump hat or whatever.
I agree.
That was cute. That was endearing. Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah, I think the MAGA hat thing was especially good because like it's such a contentious election, and he like goes the extra way to like wear a goofy little MAGA hat when everyone's like, we should actually kill each other. We should like shoot the other guy. Like
that was great. You know what was the best? When somebody said to his face that like you got to take my guns, and he just said like you're a fucking idiot or something like that back to the guy. Like he just straight up like insulted some voters. I thought that was really good.
No, Joe's like yeah, he's got that thing in him.
He had the dog in him. He had the dog.
You guys might have possibly have already spoken about this before I joined, but it's like, is Mamdani guaranteed to win the general election?
Yeah, good question.
We're sort of taking it as though he's like already been elected mayor.
Honestly, that'll be really interesting.
Seems likely.
I'm betting a lot on Eric Adams right now. I'm on Call Street.
Yeah.
I'm on Poly Market. I bought him at like 5% odds of winning the general, and like right now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
Whoa, Maya, you actually think, like, if you had to say right now, you would bet that Adams beats Mamdani in the general? That would be your take?
I just think that the odds are better than 5%. I'm just like, I'm
Oh,
hedging my
yeah.
No, I agree with you on that.
But you still think overall Zohran takes it?
I think Zohran takes it. You have to see the campaign. I think Eric is actually running a pretty good campaign right now. Like he's doing what any challenger can't do, and he's just governing, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. He's doing a great job like marketing himself online. If you've seen like the videos he's been posting, like
he was smoking a cigar with Sneeko. What the hell was that?
That's a terrible optic, in my opinion, though. God.
Sneeko's really bad optics. I think that one was actually bad, but it's the right type of vibe, I think, that you probably.
Apparently, he's really excited that Zohran won tonight. Apparently, this is exactly what he wanted.
Yeah. Mamdani should have gotten. I mean, I think it was Brad Palumbo who tweeted out like, whoever is working for Cuomo needs to immediately put out ads with Mamdani and Hassan wearing his fucking 9/11 shirt. I mean, that should have been a way bigger fucking deal.
Dude, we need to figure out who ran the Cuomo campaign, because it was just non-existent. It was the worst
campaign in history. What the fuck?
Yeah.
They could have posted like Zohran's socialist feminism thing. There was so much gold there, and they used none of it.
I think, from what I understand, like Cuomo was like super dependent upon like on-air ads and like radio ads, so they spent a lot of money doing that. They weren't really doing like online stuff, so like all of us are like hyper online. So we saw all of the Mamdani like videos that were circulating on Twitter, and they were very well done, very well produced, like very almost like cinematographic.
His mom probably helped. His mom probably helped. Like she's the famous director.
But like
exactly what you're saying.
I do think like there's a lot of things that were not really discussed in this campaign that were important. Like, for example, Mamdani literally is a prison abolitionist. Like, I think that should have been like something that was huge. They, like you said, the whole like him with like someone who literally supports 9/11, like that should have been like a huge topic of discussion. But I think the fact that like none of that ever came up and was like ever discussed, I think it's like wild, because like I think that a more competent campaign would have like zeroed in on that, especially 9/11 in New York City. Like that's just like something
what the fuck
around about, and like that's something that should have been something that he hammered him on. But instead, like we got, and listen, I write for the Algerminer, so I'm very pro-Israel. But like to harp on that so much incessantly, even at the debates, like as if that's something that's going to move most of the city, like it just wasn't. I mean, Jewish New Yorkers are about 10%.
No, it makes people more anti-Semitic. It's like why I don't.
I agree.
Like I'm actually sincerely concerned about anti-Semitism, and I don't think there's a lot the Jews can really do about it. And we never help our case by whining about it, and the people who do it on our behalf oftentimes don't help our case either. Corey, I think you're a wonderful champion for the Jewish people, even though that's probably not the first thing that you identify yourself as. But no, it's like same with the Trump administration and what they're doing. All of this hurts Jews. It hurts Jews. People already believe that Jews are the ones you can't criticize. Jews are the ones you can't X, Y, or Z. You want to know who controls you, see who you're not allowed to talk about. While they're talking about Jews, people can't get Jews out of their goddamn motherfucking mouths, but it doesn't help us when it's always framed as it's so bad. It's so bad.
You're not a fan of the. Go ahead, sorry.
The Mamdani people the past few days were like, why are people talking about Israel? Why are you so obsessed? But his sort of political profile, in large part, was built, and he came into public consciousness as the anti-Israel.
That is what they should have said. But that's what the people questioning him should have said. They should have said, you credited your interest in politics with your sympathy for the Palestinian movement, right? They could have done that, not just trying to hammer the same thing that the Intifada thing. I mean, that's a big deal there. That was worth hammering. But Israel should be able to exist as a Jewish state. And all this stuff is like,
what are you saying, Maya?
They did do that. Like if you watched any of the debates, they didn't just do Intifada stuff. They were like, hey, this is like do you support Israel's right to exist? They asked him, would you visit Israel? They asked him like why
they
did
shouldn't
he start
have done
off his
those.
campaign? I mean, they asked most of the things you said.
But
right?
No,
like,
right.
They specifically asked him whether they why he believes that Jewish voters should vote for him, given that he said that his reason for starting in politics was the Palestinian plight, right, and an anti-Israel sentiment. Like they drilled him pretty hard on that issue, right? Like I don't know. I don't think there was much more juice they could have squeezed out of that.
They did. I mean, they did go hard on it.
No, I agree. There was no more juice they could have squeezed out of it, and like to a certain extent, it really shouldn't. It's almost like part of the problem, because on the one hand, it shouldn't matter at all. He's the mayor of New York City. It doesn't matter what his views are on Israel. It does matter that he's going to govern a whole bunch of Jews, most of whom are sympathetic to Israel, have family and friends there and stuff like that. But then at the same time, we're living in the era where people on the left are like, call your city councilman so that your city council can vote for a ceasefire in Gaza. Like that's kind of the bizarre politics we're swimming in right now. And there were cities and city councils who were passing ceasefire. I mean, it's just as if Bibi Netanyahu is listening to, the mayor of whatever, San Francisco.
And I want to go real quick.
Hang on. Sorry. What were you saying, Mo?
Wait, which one?
Oh, sorry. Maya was about to say something.
Oh yeah, and I want to go back to the Cuomo thing. Like, one for sure. Like, if you talk to anyone who was in the New York City media market, they were getting blasted by anti-Cuomo, anti-Mamdani ads constantly.
True.
Like, harping on his experience, which I honestly think was the best attack against Mamdani. Right? Like, this is a 30-what-year-old who's never had a real job. That fucking cuts deep. Like, I hear Cuomo say that stuff, and I'm starting to think, like, is this the guy I want running New York City? Right? I think that a lot of the other stuff that you mentioned, like the Hassan shirt stuff, I don't know, whatever other thing, like I think it just comes off weak. Like you're just trying to
I don't know,
get this guy. Like I think the real problem with the Cuomo campaign is that he never really had a central message for what he was going to do. Like he just kind of existed as the centrist candidate. He's like, hey guys, basically I was governor, vote for me.
Yeah.
Joe, don't talk about the molesting. Don't talk about the nursing home. Also
don't ask, did he have like any plans for New York City?
No. One of the big scandals of his campaign was that like a ton of his policy platform on his website was written by ChatGPT. Like, I mean, you can't say that you care about the city when you're writing that shit with a robot.
I'm really sad that. I'm really sad that Zohran made more of an appeal to Yimbys than Cuomo did. That one to me is just absolutely shocking.
Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad.
Yeah, but we're all just kind of agreeing that
the Cuomo campaign is not their failure to attack Mamdani; it's their failure to have a message outside of failing
anything.
Right. They didn't try to appeal to anybody. They were just trying to ride the wave. Yeah.
It still feels like Cuomo didn't research Zohran though at all. Like you said earlier, Maya, he went in on. He didn't really attack Mamdani for never having a job, which I do think is interesting to a lot of people, that he is actually a child of great wealth and privilege, especially to the DSA base, because they tend to resent that in most people. But like he went after in the debate, he said, he didn't bring up that Zohran never had a job. He said, you've been in government for 3 minutes, is what he said. He's like, he never really cut deep. I don't even think Cuomo really did like a deep dive that the average Twitter user did on Zohran.
Yeah, Tilson was doing a better job than Cuomo, and honestly, like Tilson was my number one guy. But after seeing like Tilson's campaign devolve to anti-Mamdani stuff for the last like 3 weeks, it kind of put me off of him. Like
he also endorsed Cuomo at the debate.
Yeah. No. Oh my God. Real quick, I don't know how much you guys remember the debate, but like they had this one section where they asked everyone, if you could ask one question to someone else on this debate stage, what would you ask, right? And they're all using that opportunity to attack each other, like, hey, why didn't you do X? Why didn't you do X? And then they get to Cuomo, and he's like, Wilson, as a businessman, how horrible do you think Mamdani's plan would be? And I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, this is so lame. Like, you're just like basically buddying up with another candidate on stage. Like,
Yeah.
It is weak.
Well, Zohran did parade around the city with Brad Lander for like weeks on end, though. So they all kind of buddied up in a way. Like the ranked choice voting came in huge for Zohran here, I think. Like really sealed the deal.
True. I mean, barely, right? We didn't even get to the second round until.
Lander got like 13% or something in Manhattan. I saw, or maybe I'm.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying is like
a
we
good
didn't even
jump.
get to the second round to see how like anything shit. Like Mamdani won in the first one.
Yeah.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to run, but this was lovely. Thanks
Thank
for
you, Tully.
letting me on.
You. No, thank you for joining the Drew Pavlis Show. We'll have you on again soon. Thank you so much.
Cool. Take
What's
care.
the time over there, guys?
It's 5:30 p.m. for me. My dinner just arrived, so I'm gonna go.
Where are you?
The only place in America where it's 5:30 p.m.
Oh.
Yeah, Hawaii.
Hawaii. That's right.
Oh, nice.
That's
Honestly,
right.
nice.
Lucky you.
Right, I guess that.
Yeah.
I'm in DC. It's 11.
Come visit, guys. Okay, the Drew Pavlis Show live from Oahu next.
That'd be
week.
good. I hope so. I hope so. What time
Drew,
is it?
can you hire us all on as correspondents? Can we go on business trips?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We're gonna build this thing up. Maya, do you think you can get us the $20 million for slated for the young masculine men? Yeah, we need that.
I will tell him this money's going to the most masculine men I know.
That's true. So true. So unbelievably true.
But I also need to head out. My roommate's giving me like evil eyes. They want to go to sleep, and I'm keeping them up.
That's
so,
okay. Thank you, Maya. Salute to you for joining. Thank you so much.
I'm,
we'll have you on the show again.
For inviting me. Wait, how
no,
do
thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Salute to you. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. Gee, this is honestly, we had some pretty brilliant panel guests.
That was cool, man. That turned out well, Drew.
Yeah. Thank you as well so much for joining as well, Corey. It's great to have you. This is the second time you're on the Drew Pavlis Show.
Yeah, definitely for sure.
I just made a really retarded Eric Adams. Can you see this?
Is that Ataturk?
Yeah, Ataturk in the background.
There's going to be some hilarious Adams posting the next 6 months. Or 3 months.
I think I have to support it.
Does he have a base beyond like the people who bribe him to like win a citywide election? Like
there is some people that are like, the mayor's doing a good job. There's been a re-elect the mayor campaign that seems like it'll pick up some steam. I don't know.
And
though,
Bill Ackman will literally put in like $100 billion to like try to re-elect Adams at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're going to coalesce around Adams. I'm going to see them. I bet they'll try and pressure Silwa to drop out too, or to not run or something.
But that's a code.
They should. It is a code.
Yeah. From like, well, Bill Ackman as well as progressives usually use that. Like that money destroys progressive candidates, even though Bernie spent more money than his opposition in both primary elections he ran in. Like there's been a number of like high profile elections where the progressive like anti-Superback candidate has spent more money than the person they lose to like got destroyed by, and yet they're still
Look how good this is. Eric Adams wrote himself in the Democratic primary. It's so funny.
Oh yeah.
That's so funny. He's such a fucking funny guy. Oh my god, there's so much.
He's as cool as you can be online for someone his age.
Yeah.
Probably do, because if it made news even in Australia, you guys probably know about it. But when he was like talking about the diversity of experiences in New York, like it's everything from new business opening up to a plane crashing into like he was like
that was so
9/11
mental.
Is one of the great
one of the great New York City moments. What the fuck? It's just so nuts. Oh,
every time he's in a different country, he says New York is the whatever of America. Like he goes to Peru and he's like, New York is the Lima of America. He says it in every country.
Every city he goes to, he goes like Istanbul's the New York of America. Like, how good is this?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this? This
you
is
can
classic.
look at a jewelry box. A jewelry box of this nature, maybe a simple jewelry box, but if you look through it closely, you don't know what your child may be hiding. For instance, a gun. Look at picture frames behind them, cameras. Try to determine what's taking place. Behind a picture frame, you can find bullets. You should always, when your child brings in his popular knapsack with many different locations, look through it to see what exactly is your child carrying in addition to a book. Something simple as a crack pipe. Something simple as a baby doll. Could be just a baby doll, but also it could be a place where you can secrete or hide drugs. Run your hands over the pillows and see if you feel anything.
So fucking good.
Like a pillow like this with a button is a perfect invitation to hide something. I felt something bumpy. I would reach in, see what it is. Just look and see what's inside your bookcases. It could be more than just books. Perfect place to hide.
Did you see this one?
See what it is.
What child? I know this isn't really the point, but what child's bedroom looks like this and is designed like that?
It's so
Just
fucking
look and see
funny.
what's inside your bookcases. It could be more than just books. Perfect place to hide cocaine. You can look in the jewelry
He's
box.
like
The
some
jewelry
old
box
man
is-
study.
This is my favorite one. Look at this.
So, this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes were asking me to step down. God, forgive them.
And the smirk he's got on his face. Holy shit.
Someone in the comments just asked about Bad Empanada.
Yeah, I think we all know him. He's
I
not a
don't
good
know
guy.
why. Yeah, let's not talk about him.
I think, honestly, Eric Adams, if you just obviously put aside the corruption and the Turkish stuff, I think in terms of energy, he's probably the closest to me out of any politician in the world.
But is he actually, like, why are people saying he's doing a good job? Like,
Apparently, he's cleaning trash off the street and stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah.
Like, do you know anything about that, Corey and Bill? Like, why people are saying he's doing a good job?
Oh, can you repeat your question?
Oh, do you know why people are saying Eric Adams is doing a pretty good job right now?
In the city of New York?
Yeah.
From what I understand, like he's done like a pretty like good job for like housing policy. It was like one of the things where he's like put forward a pretty YIMBY housing agenda. I think crime within the city has decreased significantly, particularly like gun crimes and like homicides. I think that he's also implemented a new, I think, trash program that like put like these huge receptacles on like every. Because if you've never been in New York, if you have been in New York, you know, like they used to be notorious for having just like trash everywhere, and like people would like put their trash out like on Tuesday, trash day, and it was just like really gross all over the city. But I think he like implemented a new trash program for that. I think that generally speaking, he's kind of like found his own in terms of being able to regulate the like he's found his own in terms of being able to like manage the city well, but I think he's like a really bad communicator. Well, he's hilarious, but like I don't think he's good at like necessarily selling himself politically outside of just being a comedian, basically inadvertently. And I think that he also has like those scandals. So he's like very vulnerable. And I also think New York is quite frankly one of those cities where it's like everyone hates the mayor. Just like, for example, like everyone hates the president of Paris is someone everyone hates. Like, you know, no matter not Paris, France, right? Like everyone hates the leader of France. Like doesn't matter how good they are, they have like a 10% approval rate. It's just the way it is. New York is one of those cities. So like, I just think that he is. I think like if you just judged him on the merits of his performance, he's probably fine. But like he's better than de Blasio was. Like, but he is just unpopular because he's the incumbent mayor, and he also does have scandal. So I'm not going to like undersell that. And he also did this thing where like he tried to cozy up to Trump because of his legal issues, and because of the fact that we're in deeply partisan times, like cozying up to Trump is, as a Democrat in an extremely liberal city, not good for your electoral prospects. So I think that he's in a really, precarious position because, because of his choices. But I think that in terms of like his actual performance, he hasn't been that bad. And I would say that Don't live in New York. I have family in New York, and it's a place where I've considered moving to. I always toy with it. After tonight, probably not. But generally speaking, I'd rather live under Adam's policies rather than Mamdani's, particularly because of crime being one of them in a huge city like that. And I think Mamdani, being a prison abolitionist that wants to put homeless people in the
that's the worst idea in fucking history. What the fuck are they thinking, man?
Corey, do you know how do you remember how he elaborated on that too? It was like I saw him regurgitate it 100 times on the campaign tour, but he was like, we need to let cops do what they're trained to do, which is deal with violent crime. And he's like, we can't have cops responding to a mental health crisis. We need mental health professionals for that, which is like, are you going to hire your friend that does therapy on Zoom to like come deal with somebody like having an outburst, like a violent outburst?
Who's like smoking meth on the subway?
They're going to run away once they confront them because they're going to be terrified of violence. Like,
and this is not like a chud, like masculine sort of thing, but a majority of mental health professionals, therapists are women, I believe, at least in Australia.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
So them dealing with some like 6'8" like crazy guy who's like on the subway threatening people with a knife, get the like 5'5" therapist, like, you know, who is probably maybe great at her job.
Come on a train. Be like, I understand how you feel that way. Yeah, and I'm just going to calm this guy down.
My mom
cops would do that if it worked, but it sadly doesn't work. And it's as someone that takes public transit so frequently in a city that is struggling in terms of their public transit, it's one of the worst feelings in the world when you're on the train and the doors close and someone decides that they're having their violent outburst, and everybody is uneasy about it. And I hate to say it as well, but usually wealthy people are not on those trains, even these leftist types. Yeah. And it's frustrating that they kind of dismiss this stuff sometimes when it's working class people that really, really hate it on their commute, especially when they're with their kids and somebody lights up a crack pipe. They want that enforced. They want cops to be dealing with stuff like
isn't it amazing that like there actually is this brand of like anti-social leftism? I think we all agree on this, like where it's like they respond to people complaining about crack on the subway by being like, just mind your own business. Like, just
go back to the suburbs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's just part and parcel of being part of a city. And it's like, dude, no, like you're not going to be able to, you can't have public transport. You can't have public goods if it's just destroyed by people smoking crack next to your kid on the subway. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I made like a bait tweet. Like I said, Zohran is a catastrophe for Western civilization. We're losing our country, and it's just gonna be like there's gonna be like a million socialists who respond going like,
"You're not American." True. They're gonna dogpile you now. Will Menaker is gonna be just like dancing on that tonight.
Or there'll be like Nazis who are like, "Your country's Turkey, mate."
That is actually what I get.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Look at this thing. This is Will Chamberlain, who's like a prominent Trump guy, saying denaturalize and deport Zohran Mamdani. That's pretty extreme.
That just like feels, if you genuinely think Mamdani is like the worst thing that could happen to New York, that just like fuels his support.
I know, it's just so stupid.
It's so true.
New York.
It is really stupid. It's really stupid. Like,
they'd be like, don't talk about Trump people in New York, like wading into New York politics. Like, just don't.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of Trump supporters in New York City. It's a massive city.
Yeah,
so,
true.
You know, like one of my good friends is like a Trumpy in New York.
Is Long Island part of the New York like city there area?
No, I don't think so. Is it?
I'm not sure.
No, I think it's Staten Island, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan.
Yeah.
Zohran won. I'm just telling the chat. Look, this is actually very difficult for me because, like, I know that, like, on Twitter, I've called for the deportation of a lot of people, but, like, I would never say that about someone like Zohran just because he's like, look, at the end of the day, he's like literally just like a social democrat. Like, I mean, I don't like his policies. He's a leftist, but he's obviously American. Like, I don't know. It's obviously a hard needle for me to thread because people will say, oh, well, you have to own that language too. When I think it's disgusting when it's applied to someone like Zohran. I think, like, I mean, I apply it for people who are like actually waving Hamas flags and like full on.
It's like the doctor who went to the Nasrallah funeral in
Lebanon.
It's like really different.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or like Jackson Hinkle. It's like he's like being paid by like actual like enemies and then taking refuge in Southern California at his parents' mansion by the coast. It's like, why do you get to play both sides like that? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
like China would never allow that. Not that we want to be like China, but like
so like this is what I was talking about. Like I want to try to clarify this for people because like people, I don't know, it's very difficult because I think what's happened is like Trump talked about deportation, so obviously then a lot of people just negatively get polarized into like they hate that language absolutely, but like I can't obviously, I think it's obviously disgusting when it's applied to someone like Zohran, who's just like, at the end of the day, he's like a Democrat. I obviously don't like his politics, but when it's at the end of the day, he's a Democrat. But like, I don't know, like, what's the actual argument for this guy being like a proper, like part of the Australian nation, right? Like, he literally flew to Lebanon for Nasrallah's funeral. Like, I can't see it, right? I don't know. Do you think that's fair, Corey? Like,
can you repeat what you just said? Sorry.
So I'm obviously saying I'm trying to like clarify my position where like I do think it's disgusting when like Will Chamberlain is saying like deport Zohran. Like I think that's obviously disgusting. But then people say, oh well, you're being a hypocrite, Drew, because you've called for people to be deported before. But like I think it's a difference. Like the guy, like here's an example. This guy like literally flies from Sydney to Lebanon to attend the funeral of Nasrallah. Like I feel like that's another level, right? Like obviously I don't like Zohran's politics. Like at the end of the day, he's like a full American. I don't like his politics, but if it's somebody who's like,
I think that American citizens, once you become a citizen, like you're allowed to have whatever crazy insane politics you want. I can make the argument that maybe we shouldn't allow those people to ever become citizens to begin with, but that's a different argument than saying like you've been given your citizenship, now we're going to revoke it and send you back to a different country, because then that's creating two-tiered citizenship, which kind of run counters to these sort of ideals, I guess, of what it would mean to be American in the First Amendment. So I think that people like Will Chamberlain who say these things are like, they're doing it to kind of like basically like virtue signal to their followers. And also just like saying insane things on social media gets you engagement. And engagement's addictive, right? So I think that's what that's about. But like, I don't think I really call for that many deportations. I think like, I will defend, like, if the Trump administration actually tries to deport someone who is here on a visa and they're actually whipping up support for terrorist groups, because I actually consider that to be a domestic, like, that's a domestic threat, right? Like, if you're coming here, like, recruiting for Hamas, Hezbollah, spreading that propaganda, doing all of that, like, I think you should be forced to leave, quite frankly. But, like, that's different than, like, saying I have controversial views and I'm going to write an op-ed saying that Israel is an evil, racist, apartheid state. I don't agree with that, but like I don't think that, quite frankly, anyone should care. But I do think that,
I agree with you there.
Yeah, but I think that if you are calling for terrorist acts or supporting terrorism or lending any sort of assistance to terrorism or terrorist groups, then you should be deported if you are not an American citizen. I think the thing is we have to catch these people before they become citizens, and we need to have better screening for this because like this shouldn't be happening. I mean, I'm sorry, but like if you look at the fact that we allow just like mass importation of like terrorist supporters in our country is like little civilizational suicide.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. We have to try and stop it at the screening out process. If somebody becomes a citizen and has these views, like obviously that's different. It's very difficult, right? I want to say to you, Corey, like I actually fully agree with you. Obviously, like I'm identified as like a Zionist or whatever, but I still think that people should be able to like stridently criticize Israel. People should be able to say it's an apartheid state. They should be able to write op-eds. Like that's free speech. Where it crosses the line is where they're actually supporting like Hamas, Hezbollah, and stuff like that. A really good example of this is like this girl, Najat Abdi. She's like Somali ultranationalist that's living in Melbourne.
She's not a real person. There's like no evidence that's a real person though.
Like, look how sick this one is, right? Like, I'm still shocked by this. Like, I honestly think that she needs to get like a visit by like the Australian Federal Police for this one. Because like, hang on.
But I'm like serious. Is there any evidence that she's like a real? I know there's a real person running the account, but that like Najat Abdi.
No, unfortunately, I know. So you know Zoe, you might have seen me retweet her a couple times. Zoe Kobani at Quillette.
Yeah, sure.
So she has a friend who was at Harvard with Najat, which I was shocked by. I was like, what the fuck? So apparently she actually was there.
But she might have looked up like the Harvard like registry of graduates.
Well,
I think
maybe what happened, maybe she was there for like a 6-month course, or maybe she started a PhD and never graduated. I'm not sure. But like apparently she actually was there at some point. But like, I don't know, like this is a good example where it's like she's living in Melbourne and the mother of a dead Israeli occupation soldier was killed in the Iranian rocket attack. Like she's literally celebrating like a random civilian being killed in Israel because her son was an IDF conscript. That's sick. That's sick. Like this requires at the very least like Australian Federal Police like knocking on her door. But
can I just get back to like the screening process?
Yeah,
for, like the Australian. Have you ever looked at the Australian citizenship test, like questions about Australian values? It's basically like, and this is barely an exaggeration, a friend or someone you know disagrees with your which party they want to vote for an election. Should you A, agree to disagree, or B, like kill them? And you have to answer correctly, obviously, but like no one would answer B, and that supposedly is like good enough screening to like determine whether they support democratic values.
Yeah, I know, it's a joke, isn't it? It's amazing.
Just like it's like pro forma, like
like I'm pretty sure one of the questions is something like, do you think it's acceptable to beat women? It's like what anybody is going to say. Queer liberation means defund the police. That's such a funny tweet by Zohran. Like, what the fuck?
How did he put that off? Because like he just mentioned people like went after Kamala or criticized Kamala for like, or Kamala for like, she just didn't mention all the like far left stances she took in 2020 and hope people would forget about it. That's like what Zohran did as well this time, but it worked.
Well, maybe
it's New York City, not the entire country. So,
that is true.
Like Bernie Sanders would have won if it was New York City back in like the old Dem primaries.
That's so true. I think I saw some people saying, I saw someone say that like Democrats should not take the lesson that this should be universalized to the entire country, which is like so obvious, right? Because it's literally New York City. Yeah. Fuck. This is okay. Like this is disgusting by Charlie Kirk. Like.
Did you see what Hassan said, Drew? He said that's white jihad summer, I think is what he suited out.
Fuck off, Hassan. I hate him so much, man.
Dude, Zohran, I don't know if you guys feel so, but I feel like he's like got luck just on his side in life. He has like everything going for him. You can't help but admit that.
Zohran has the best life ever. Zohran has the best life ever. Born to wealth. And this is like, I don't know if you saw my crash out about Hassan, where like I ended up smashing a glass because I was like, everyone wants to, all these girls love him. He's aura farming at the rally. He's driving a Porsche everywhere. I'm going to have the same thing with Zohran right now. He's got a beautiful Levantine wife. As a Levantine man myself, the ancestral memories come back to me. He's got a beautiful Levantine wife. He's got Emily Ratajkowski campaigning for him. He's walking down Manhattan. Everyone's yelling out to him, "We love you, Zohran." His parents are fucking rich.
Yeah.
Just the best life ever. The best life ever.
He's like attractive.
I'm just
got a nice smile.
I'm just so struck by like the rich kid thing that never really worked, because I feel like it'd be so unacceptable for most people, but he checks like all the boxes for like a socialist darling candidate. He's got a great name, just the name Zohran Mamdani.
I know, it's
like,
so perfect.
It's so perfect. During this whole like Free Palestine era, he's been huge on it for years. Then he had a disgraced, corrupt mayor in Eric Adams. And then you had Cuomo. I honestly feel like Cuomo didn't really want the job. He decided because everything lines up for this guy. It's like, I got to give him credit for being also incredibly talented and personable, but the stars are just aligning for him in this moment.
It's so unfair. It's so unfair having to admit that he's talented and personable. It fucking kills me, man.
Yeah, but I also think there's not another time when he would have won this election in New York City, let alone any more moderate city in the United States would not have elected him, I don't think. I think the stars aligned for him in New York, and it was through a lot of screw-ups by Dem establishment or more centrist Dems that left the door.
It really is.
And kudos for capitalizing.
Don't envy him. New York City mayor is a thankless job. Thanks for the $2 contribution. This is a good question for Corey and Bill. Should Drew move to America, naturalize, and run in like 40 years' time?
Yes. No, dude, 6 years. Zohran got citizenship in 2018, 7 years.
Damn.
Drew, you wouldn't be let in at the moment.
Do you actually? This is a good question. Do you reckon I'll get stopped at the border for the Trump stuff?
What did you say about Trump?
Like, it's so interesting because, like, I'm like so pro Western civilization. I'm so anti Hamas.
But did you insult the Supreme Leader? Yes or no?
What do you say? Sorry.
Did you insult the Supreme Leader? Yes or no?
Yeah, I have before.
Oh, then you're not welcome here.
There's stuff from like 2019, 2020 where you called yourself a socialist.
Surely that wouldn't be held against me. I'm literally like so anti-communist. I'm literally endorsing Eric Adams to like defeat communism. But I have to say as well, Maya is a lovely woman. I'm very glad that Maya joined. She's a proud member of the LGBT community. She's a very beautiful woman. I have to say.
Okay.
Sorry for the weird comment. I just wanted to make everything awkward. It was funny.
She's not Levantine, Drew. You'll be okay.
Oh yeah, of course.
Is Hanania coming on?
Hanania was going to come on. Should we have him on? I don't know.
We need more Palestinian voices.
That's so true. But, okay, let me ask Corey.
John Aziz.
What'd you say? Actually, yeah, that would be cool. Actually. Okay, what's the time in New York right now? How much longer do you guys want to?
11:54. We're about to be midnight.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if Zohran's team is like partying right now.
Yeah,
probably.
They got that queued up.
I'm sure he's giving a speech by now.
I could try. Should I try bring that up? Maybe we'll try watch that, and then maybe we can end the stream today.
Did you have a question for me?
Oh, sorry. What was this?
I thought you had a question for me.
I was saying, should I move to America and naturalize and run in about 30 years' time?
30 years' time? Sure, I guess.
There is an Australian guy.
Huh?
Who are you talking about?
I don't know if he is still the mayor, and I don't know how I know this. I saw it on the news like 8 years ago and remember it. He's an Australian guy, became mayor of like Annapolis, Maryland.
Yeah, no, actually, I did hear about something like that.
Yeah, so you could like.
It's such a cursed
town.
It's such a cursed fate when you're obsessed with American politics. It's so sad.
Dubuque, Iowa, or something.
Bill and Corey, you guys are so lucky because I'm obsessed with American politics, but I'm imprisoned beyond the waves.
Laura Loomer is the biggest whore in American politics. She used to be my friend. I regret every minute of it. She is the biggest disgusting whore in politics. And I'm not just saying that as a pejorative. Let me be precise and specific. What do I mean by that? She will do anything for money. Anything. She will do anything for money. She will do anything to rub shoulders with influential people. She will do anything for influence. She is a paid mouth for hire. At least one of her orifices is not to be gross, not to be crude, but her mouth is for rent. It is for sale. You pay her money and she will say anything. Oh. She's like a wind-up toy. She's like from Toy Story. You pull the string on her back and she will say whatever you want her to say. As long as you put money in the back.
Yeah.
As long as you shove money up there, she'll say anything and do anything.
Yeah.
Someone
There's
in the
nothing
comments
as messy as
mentioned Anthony Weiner, Weiner. Is it Weiner or like?
Yeah, Weiner.
Yeah, well, he was running again for like a council seat, I think.
Did he get elected? Let's see.
I don't know. Let's see if he. Can you check?
How sexualized was that comment by Nick Fuentes where he just was like the orifice? What the fuck? It's a real shame that he's a Nazi because he's really talented at broadcasting. I think I've said this before. There's a good comment by Pickles LeBlanc here. There's nothing as messy as the breakup between a queen and his fag hag. Okay, thank you, Pickles LeBlanc.
He didn't win.
Okay. He didn't win. What a disgrace. What a sad thing. That's so sad. So not everybody can come back from disgrace, it seems. I mean, also Andrew Cuomo lost as well. Should we try guys, I know it's midnight. Should we try get Hanania on briefly or should we just maybe wrap things up? I know it's getting quite late.
I'm willing to stay on for Hanania if he's,
What do you reckon, Bill?
It's been a good ride. I'm glad we did this, dude.
I know. Should I try get Hanania on?
I'll stay on if you can get him on.
Okay. Alas, let me know if you want to join. Yeah, we'll see.
Did you reach out to Armin Domalewski? He'd be good to get on.
I did. Unfortunately, we didn't get.
Slazak.
I think it's like 3 a.m. in France right now.
Sure. Yeah, he's probably awake.
We support Slazak. Okay, I've messaged Hanania. We'll see. We'll give it 5 minutes to see if he can join. But Reza Pahlav, some great Shagzadeh tweets. It's such a shame that he's just like he went a bit crazy with the Iran stuff. Did you see that, Corey?
Who? Reza?
Shagzadeh.
Oh yeah.
He's back to following me. Which is
what did he say about Zohran?
He's actually against Iran, but it's just a shame because he had a bit of a fight with me over the Iran stuff because I think he kind of like. I mean, I get it. I get that he's emotionally.
Iranian.
Yeah, he's Iranian. I get it. I try to be like accepting of it. Like I know he's not necessarily a regime supporter. He just didn't like it being bombed. I mean, yeah. I get it. It's just he's a funny guy.
Yeah. I think he's interesting because he does this thing where like he's obviously not supportive of Israel, but like he also like doesn't necessarily go by the same like talking points or like predetermined narratives as like some of his other counterparts, in that, you know, the diaspora from that region of the world, basically 99% of them all hate Israel. Like
because he said that like
Israel, but he's willing to like basically say that like some of the narratives is bullshit, and also like he also will be like, well, you know, Israel is a country that like actually has its shit together and actually wants to like win and thrive and succeed, and the other Middle Eastern countries are basically like pieces of shit. Yeah, like they're fucked up.
That's the part about Shagzadeh that I actually really like and respect, because like I get that he's obviously anti-Zionist and everything, but like it's not in like an existential obsession way, which a lot of these like diaspora people have, which is like that's the thing that pisses me off when like people act like it's literally the number one issue in history. Whereas like Shagzadeh has literally said like obviously he doesn't want them to bomb his country, but he was like, and he said like they're horrible, but at the same time like at the same time he just basically said like Iran shouldn't have been obsessively trying to attack them for 50 years. It's just ridiculous. And like at least he can actually say that, because like no one else can appear to say that.
Yeah, and I also think that like he's interesting because like he like with the diaspora individuals from the Middle East and that region of the world, like their anti-Israel hate is like so extreme to where like they openly support like jihadist terrorist groups that oppress other Muslims. And so like their willingness to support Hamas and Hezbollah, and I see this out here. I actually used to live in Michigan, and like you'd have like Muslims and Palestinian Americans walking around in like Hamas headbands, even though Hamas literally oppresses Palestine. Like even if you hate Israel, I'm not even talking about Israel, like they literally slaughter you in Gaza if you speak out against the Hamas government. Palestinian influencers online that get angry with the Palestinian diaspora for openly supporting Hamas and like trying to cultivate support for them, when Hamas literally does kill them, keeps aid from them, tries to sell aid that's supposed to be free, like does use human shields. Like all of this is like documented that Hamas does. But one thing I do like about the guy you just talked about is that he is someone that is willing to like actually acknowledge that this is like he's willing to say that the Middle Eastern diaspora is like full of shit. These are people who are cosplaying. They do have, not all of them, but a lot of them do have this inferiority complex to where like they can't believe that a tiny nation of Jews basically keeps kicking their ass.
Yeah,
and so it's
and
like,
that's why there's all the conspiracies and like, you know.
And that's where like I actually literally will watch videos and actually watch, because I write for an outlet that we report on this, and so like I'll watch like these podcasts of like these like pro-Palestine podcasts where they basically say shit like, oh, Israel has a terrible economy, like they don't do shit. It's just like they're entirely subsidized by America. It's like a lie. Like Israel has a higher GDP per capita, I think, than Germany at this point. At a certain point, it's like you have to acknowledge that like you don't have to like Israel, but it's like it's just a country that has its shit together. And quite frankly, part of my pro-Israel support is just the fact that like I like the fact that it's a country that actually is succeeding. Like, for example, like we have given aid to America gives aid to lots of countries. Like, we've given aid to lots of countries. For the most part, aid is just like a black hole.
You know what's funny? Egypt gets more money than Israel, I'm pretty sure, in
Yeah.
terms of military aid. Like,
Of course.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But like for me with Israel, it's like the reason why one of the reasons I defend the Zionist project is the fact that like, well, it fucking worked. Like, I don't think people understand like how hard it is to actually build a state. Like, most states fail. Israel has succeeded. Yeah.
American aid to Israel is just a slush fund for like American arms manufacturers, because the money has to be spent on buying from American weapons companies.
Right. So the notion that like Israeli wealth comes from American aid is just like dishonest.
Yeah.
And there's also a push with a lot of conservative Israelis to actually move away from American aid because they feel like it limits them because it comes with strings attached. And it does, because like since we give them aid, what that means is that we get a lot of veto power over their or a lot of influence rather over their operations. So like, for example, when Trump basically said
what happened 24 hours ago
bomb Iran, he said that today, and basically they had to agree to not really respond as forcefully as they wanted,
even after Iran killed 5 people.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that as someone who does support Israel, one thing I'm worried about is that the Democratic Party is moving to the left. Younger generations hate Israel. Like, they just hate
our generation
so
fucking wishes it was dead.
And then even with conservatives, you have the Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, people who are like, I would say, just anti-Semites. So I think that Israel has to figure out a way to navigate the world really without relying on American help, or at least being as reliable of an ally as we are. And so I think it's be wise for them within the next decade to just completely wean themselves off of American military support. I don't know how they'll get around like the UN and stuff like that with like sanctions. But I do think they need to figure out a way to get off of American support, because I just think it's like a ticking time bomb. Like, they don't.
I think you're right there.
Yeah.
And
but can I just? Sorry, Drew. But like,
you go.
How? Like, I'm not sure Israel ever was popular, right, in America or Europe, but like, Israel has always been, if you like. Back in the Cold War, the 70s, even the 80s, they were a lot more isolated diplomatically and even in popular opinion than they are now. Like, the Yom Kippur War, no European nation allowed Israeli planes to land or refuel. This is like NATO countries. Obviously, the communists, the Warsaw Pact wouldn't have, but Portugal was the only one that did. I mean, the talking point, you can read stuff like anti-Zionist stuff from the 70s. Like, it's literally the exact same talking points.
A lot of it is
now. Like,
a lot of it is Soviet. A lot of it is literally.
I won't. So yeah, I'd say Israel is losing popularity, like, compared to how it was the past 20 years. But I don't think it's like an unprecedented thing in their history. And I'd say given half the entire communist world in addition to the Arab world, it was far more.
I think that like a lot of, and I've said this before, like a lot of the pro-Israel support comes from like World War II boomers, where like a lot of people felt really, really, really bad about the Holocaust. In America, even though we didn't do the Holocaust, we were complicit in the sense that like we denied Jews the right to come to the United States to seek refuge, and many of those Jews ended up in those Nazi Holocaust camps and being killed. So like we played a role in that. And so I think that a lot of Americans have like had like an affinity towards Jews for that reason, or at least a reason of guilt. And then also, like, this is going to sound anti-Semitic, but like another thing is like Jews in America are just like very, very successful, like just disproportionately, if you look at income per capita, they've done very well for themselves. And also a lot of Jews have reached the highest heights of like Hollywood, politics, things like that. And so because of that, we have in America, tons of like Holocaust movies. Like these things are like, it's so taught and integrated within our curriculum. The Holocaust is taught as basically a standalone event. There's so many like award-winning films about that. But I also think that what we're starting to see is because of social media, the narratives are starting to shift, and we're starting to get more of the pro-Israel perspective, which I don't think should be suppressed. But I think that for younger generations has been very radicalizing in that.
Oh, you mean the
sense.
pro-Palestine perspective?
Huh?
Oh, do you mean the pro-Palestine perspective on?
Yeah, like, and I think that if you go 100% pro-Zionist, like that is in and of itself is a biased perspective that leaves out a lot of important information. But if you go the pro-Palestine perspective 100% as well, like that leaves out a lot of key information.
Yeah,
so like
absolutely.
that's when you start getting things like, oh, Israel was, it only exists because they just kicked out all the Palestinians from their land and like they just stole all the land. Like that's just not true, at least not 100% true.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of the narrative that anyone under 30 is getting. And so I think that my view is that like Israel is still popular. Like for example, in opinion polls, Israel still has probably like 75% approval in the United States in regards to Israel versus Hamas. But when you start looking at the age crosstabs, like 18 to 24, it's like 50-50. When you start looking at anyone under 35, maybe it's like 58% Israel, 42% Hamas, right? So like when the boomers start dying out, let's say in the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to look the politics around Israel are going to look very different probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just the Holocaust because, I mean, Australia's never been as pro-Israel as the US, but people of like my parents' generation who are, 60, they're, defining memory, I guess, of the Palestinian cause is in Munich in, 72.
Yeah.
Gunman, wearing a balaclava on the balcony and then killing, which
the entire team.
Now, which the sort of Palestinian groups haven't, or they've ended, for decades, attacks outside Israel or Palestine, which I think, probably really boosted support for Israel.
Yeah, they had massive. They kept on making attacks in Europe for so long, and it actually turned people so far against it. Just look at this shit. The gloating online is so fucking annoying. Like March Bar America, this guy whose handle is literally death to America, and he's literally a gay OnlyFans model, and he's like Iranian, and he's obviously like fully secular. Shout out to Shagzadeh because Shagzadeh fought with him. But look at his tweet. The last 24 hours will be an inflection point in history of Zionism and the entity. Fucking mental. Like it's just like he won a Democrat primary. It doesn't fucking mean anything, but it's just.
But what's with like, where Drew? Well, probably everyone here. Like, we're not.
Zohran's victory speech. Hang on, Zohran's victory speech.
Okay.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Tim?
Why is it that like? I can understand if you hate Israel, and like Netanyahu. Why would that? I don't understand. Then you become like an anti or self-identify as an anti-Zionist. Because like
I know.
Israel. Because obviously none of us are fans of Russia, are we? But we're not like when even is
literally destroy
the Russian nation, like saying that should be undone.
Yeah, there is no movement. Yeah,
there's no movement for that.
Oh, Drew. Bill Ackman says he's not coalescing around Adams. He said something like Silva or something like Cuomo and Adams need to both drop out and not run in the general.
What a fucking retarded! If he goes with the Republican candidate, he's actually retarded, dude. It's New York City. If you go for the Republican,
yeah, he's saying both need to drop out and they need to like place someone really independent, I guess, which I don't see how that's gonna happen.
If he goes with Silva, like that's the most retarded thing possible.
No, there's no shot. That guy's very unimpressive too. Even thinking.
And he ran at the last election.
Why does he dress like a South American gorilla when he's a Republican? Have you seen the photos with like the
it's a guardian angel. It's a thing in New York. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Talk to neighbors, and tonight.
Oh my God.
Tonight.
Okay, we'll watch the live.
Made history.
We'll watch the Zohran speech and then we'll probably wrap it up, I reckon.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone who's been watching the whole time. Please leave a like on the stream. Really appreciate it.
People from every background together around a simple, powerful idea that New York City should be a city for everyone.
Can Adams run as a Republican? I don't think he would do that.
Not just
I don't know.
Well connected.
There's no way it could win in New York, I don't think.
Yeah, just you can't run as a Republican in New York.
To the struggles we all see. Rising rents, crumbling.
This is crazy.
Services,
he fucking smashed it.
Families barely hanging on, and he gave us something real to believe in. There is not special formula here. It's about listening to our people, to our community, and putting together a vision for the future of this city. You know what? The billionaires are watching this moment.
You need the billionaires to pay for the whole fucking project.
They're going to spend everything they got to stop Zohran. Why? Because they know that this campaign threatens business as usual.
I just saw a stat. By median income, Cuomo won people under $50,000 by 19 points. Mamdani won people by over 100,000 by 13 points.
Amazing.
Fucking amazing.
That's a statistic you will never hear him repost or
crazy.
talk about.
We are going to knock even more doors. We are going to organize in every borough.
Oh my God. Zohran has expressed support for the Communist Party of India, Marxists in Kerala.
A movement that takes us all the way to City Hall. And together, we are going to elect Zohran as the next mayor of New York and change our city forever. But this is the thing. The city has changed. Zohran knew it. Other candidates didn't see it. And that is why we are here celebrating this incredible moment. God bless you all.
When did they go into Zohran? Zohran won.
So, my name is Tish James, and I come from...
Why are they doing every single... I feel like it's going to be like another 50 minutes before Zohran comes
Yeah,
out.
it could be a long one, guys.
Should we? Maybe we'll wrap it up. Yeah, maybe we'll wrap it up.
I had a lot of fun, guys. We get to meet all of you.
Thank you, guys.
It's really cool.
Where are you from? Where do you live? Sorry,
I'm in Philly.
Oh, okay. I'm in DC.
Oh, awesome, man.
Yeah.
You guys should definitely catch up.
All right. No, yeah, we live close, so maybe hopefully we'll see each other one day.
And Tim, you should create a Twitter account.
I do have one. I just never.
Well, you should make it public.
Do
you guys want to just put your Twitters in the chat so we can follow each other?
Tim's my best mate since like grade 5, and like we've
probably not. I'm probably not going to become a public figure, even though I was on this.
Well, I appreciate your comment.
Damaged my career prospects.
It's funny. We've got a comment in like one of the Nazi guys in the chat. He said, "Do you reckon the Browns and NYC just voted for their brown guy?" But the funny thing is, the whites elected Zohran. Like it was actually it was the minority groups, Hispanics and African Americans, who voted for Cuomo, and then it was like overall yeah. It's
I just saw on Twitter, Cuomo won people who earn under $50,000 20 points. Mamdani won over 100,000 by like 15 points.
Crazy, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's the Brahmin left. I mean this is not new.
The Brahmin left, literally, yeah.
Like it's common now.
Literally, yeah. The Brahmin left, absolutely. All right, guys. Yeah, we'll call it a day now. But thank you so much, everyone who's tuned into the Drew Pablo show.
Yeah.
It's been an excellent broadcast. Thank you so much, Corey and Bill and Tim and everyone who joined. Tracy Woodgrains, Noah Smith, Tali, Maya as well. Great stuff.
Have Jesse's signal on the show.
Yeah, maybe in the future. Yes.
Is it signal or single? I can't remember, but
we'll try. But yeah, salute. Thank you so much, guys. See you soon.
Socialist feminism wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Great day for socialist feminism. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.
Yeah.